Chapter 1622. 1622 Chapter 1622. Taking the initiative, Lu Ming sat cross-legged, under the path understanding ancient tree, cultivating wholeheartedly. 3 days passed by in a flash. Too slow. Without a war, this kind of bitter cultivation is too slow. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and muttered to himself. In fact, he had comprehended the path under the path understanding ancient tree, and with the help of the heavenly Tao stone, his cultivation speed was not slow. However, compared to the speed of tempering himself in battle, it was naturally much slower. There are as many heaven's pride experts as clouds here. It just so happens that there's someone to train with. Wouldn't it be a pity to miss it? Lu Ming smiled and changed into a long black robe. He exited the mountain and river diagram and headed out of Darkwater City. After leaving Darkwater City, he looked at the lake not far away. Sure enough, he saw many young men standing in the air above the lake. There were also 2 young men who were engaged in an intense battle. Lu Ming's palm glowed, and an Azura mask appeared in his hand. He put it on his face and instantly, he looked more ferocious. Lu Ming had once used this Azura mask when his cultivation level was not high. With its material, a high-level martial emperor would be able to see through it with a single glance. However, Lu Ming covered it with his essential core, and others could not see through it. With the Shura mask on, Lu Ming stepped forward toward the youths, a cold aura emanating from his body. Some people were alarmed and looked in Lu Ming's direction. They were surprised to see him, wearing the Azura mask. Humph, a LV9 Martial Royal Realm expert wearing a mask. He's trying to act mysterious and mysterious. Someone snorted coldly, and looked at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. Boom. All of a sudden, Lu Ming made his move. He took a step forward, and appeared above the person who had spoken. He took a step forward. A foot that reached up to the sky was formed, like the foot of a god, and it stepped toward the person who spoke. You're looking for death. The man let out a long howl, and his vital essence exploded. His aura soared and condensed into a saber, slashing at Lu Ming. The saber also carried the power of laws. This person was an expert at the 2nd stage of the half-saint realm. He had an upper-class earth spiritual body, and his combat strength was amazing. When he wielded his blade, it was earth-shattering. Just when many people thought that Lu Ming would be killed in one move, the result was beyond everyone's expectations. Boom! The giant foot stomped down, and the saber collapsed. The giant foot continued to stomp down. The 2nd stage half-saint was smashed into the lake below by Lu Ming's foot. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. His fists glowed and he threw a punch. A terrifying fist force seemed to penetrate the void and blasted toward the lake below. Boom! The water in the lake rose to the sky, and the waves rippled. The water in the area was blasted away by the fist force, revealing the bottom of the lake. There was a huge pit at the bottom of the lake. The man at the 2nd stage of the half-saint realm was lying in the pit. He was no longer breathing. He had been killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming stretched out his hand and sucked. His quintessential essence was like a ribbon, sweeping up the other party's storage ring. The lake water flowed backward. That proud son of heaven would remain at the bottom of the lake forever. So strong! Many people were shocked. Although the man in the Azura mask was only at LV9 Martial Royal Realm, he was not a ghost. He was a terrifying existence. Which force is this heaven's favorite from? Some people guessed. After all, there were simply too many Emperor-ranked powers. Every day, there would be geniuses from Emperor-ranked powers joining. No one knew what kind of geniuses would appear. Buzz! Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning, and as cold as a knife as he scanned the surroundings. Lu Ming's gaze swept across some people, and they could not help but feel a chill in their hearts. You fight me. Lu Ming's eyes were fixed on a young man in a blood-red robe. He took a step forward, and threw a punch at the young man. Having been in the 100-clan battlefield for a few months, Lu Ming had already gotten used to the rules here. In this place there were no rules. There were only trials and challenges. In this place, you didn't need to have any reason to attack anyone. Lu Ming was here to fight with experts. He did not want to waste time, and took the initiative to attack. Don't think that you can fight me just because you killed a piece of trash. Kill! Seeing that Lu Ming dared to attack him, The young man in the blood-red robe suddenly exploded with a murderous intent. His body was covered in blood-red light. He waved his palm, and a blood-red palm print was blasted toward Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming threw 2 more punches in a row, which collided with the bloody palm print, creating terrifying fluctuations. Lu Ming's fist force was immediately dispersed. The bloody palm print did not stop, carrying a terrifying power of law, as it came crashing toward Lu Ming. Amazing! The heavenly spiritual body is indeed powerful. Lu Ming was not shocked. Instead, he was overjoyed. He stepped forward, and his essential core surged into the flowing essence gloves. He threw a punch and destroyed the bloody palm print. Then, he continued to attack the blood-robed young man. This blood-robed young man had a heavenly spiritual body, which was on the same level as Huang Ling and Wan Tiancheng. If Lu Ming wanted to take action, he would naturally choose the most powerful people. What use would the weak ones be? Blood Devil Palm. The blood-robed young man roared. A blood-red light filled the air, and his body seemed to turn into a thick blood aura. The law of blood burst out, forming a huge palm print that pressed down on Lu Ming, wanting to smash him into a pulp of flesh. Lu Ming's body glowed. Bright spots glowed and 12 holy weapons appeared. Lu Ming gripped the black dragon spear and infused it with combat weapon qi. The chaos domain covered it and transformed it into a spear's gleam that was as large as a mountain. He stabbed it into the sky. Boom! With a deafening boom, the spear radiance and the bloody palm print disappeared at the same time. That's the 10,000 soldiers scroll. He's from the Wan family. The Wan family has produced such a terrifying heaven's favorite. He's only at the 9th level of the martial royal realm, and he's already so powerful? Some people exclaimed in disbelief. Kill the Wan clan. The young man in the blood-red robe was extremely powerful. His killing intent was cold as he stepped into the air. The blood qi on his body became thicker and thicker, as if he had turned into a sea of blood. Voila! A blood-red flag appeared in his hand. He waved the blood flag, and it expanded rapidly, bringing the sea of blood with it as it wrapped around Lu Ming. Break! The black dragon spear in Lu Ming's hand was thrown out like a black lightning bolt, piercing through the sea of blood. At the same time, Lu Ming took a step forward with his holy weapon sword in hand. With a slash of the sword, a shocking sword qi was released, as if it was going to split the world. The sea of blood was split open, but after rolling for a while, it gathered together again. The black dragon spear flew back without any success. The sea of blood spread and the blood flag covered the sky, shrouding Lu Ming. Turn into a pool of blood, the blood-robed youth said coldly. The man wearing the Azura mask is finished. He's been enveloped by the flag of blood prison. He's definitely going to die and turn into a pool of blood. That's right. Young Master Blood Prison's combat strength is astonishing. Once the blood prison flag is used, even the heaven's favorites of the same level as him won't dare to be enveloped by it. Although the masked man's combat strength is terrifying, he's only at the 9th level of the martial royal realm. Another chosen has fallen. Discussions broke out in all directions. Even the 2 young men who had been fighting fiercely at the beginning had stopped fighting. Lu Ming was enveloped by the blood prison flag, blocking out the sky and the sun. He looked around and saw blood flags and a sea of blood. A terrifying blood aura seeped towards Lu Ming continuously, trying to refine him into a pool of blood. Lu Ming blocked it with his chaos realm. The chaos realm emitted a series of sizzling sounds. Chapter 1623. 1623 The Great Battle, with young Master Blood Prison 12 holy weapons surrounded Lu Ming. He held the black dragon spear in his hand, and cast 13 accumulated power strikes. Whoosh! A huge spear radiance stabbed forward, as if it was going to pierce through the heaven and earth. However, the spear radiance pierced into the blood sea, and a huge passage was created. However, the blood sea churned and condensed again. He didn't exert any strength at all. He felt like he had strength, but no place to use it. Buzz! Lu Ming switched to his holy weapon sword, and slashed out a vast sword aura. However, it was still useless and could not break the sea of blood. A heaven's spiritual body is indeed powerful. Lu Ming muttered. This blood-robed young man's combat strength was not weaker than Wan Tiancheng's. If Lu Ming summoned bubbles and refined his second body, he would be able to suppress the other party. However, it would be meaningless. Lu Ming was here to train himself. Boom. Boom. At once, Lu Ming began to launch a frenzied attack. He used a long spear, a combat sword, a combat saber, and the prison-suppressing heaven technique. He took turns to attack the vast sea of blood, causing it to tumble and shake violently. However, the blood sea was still not broken. However, such an attack was not completely useless. At least it could stop the invasion of the blood sea and resist the power of refinement. Outside the blood sea, young Master Blood Prison's body was covered in blood light. He stood on the blood sea with a cold look in his eyes. Struggle all you want. Even if you struggle a little longer, you'll still die in the end. The young Master of Blood Prison said coldly. His body became more and more blurry, as if he was about to turn into blood light and merge into the blood sea. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the sea of blood, the sanguine light began to change. It condensed into swords, spears, and other things, and launched an attack on Lu Ming. Good. Lu Ming was fearless. He held a spear in one hand and a sword in the other, clashing with the blood light. In the blink of an eye, a few minutes had passed, and the battle was still ongoing. Awesome, awesome. Haha, your blood sea can't refine me at all. Lu Ming laughed out loud, his voice passing through the blood sea. This made young Master Blood Prison's face turn even uglier. Let's see how long you can last. Young Master of Blood Prison shouted coldly. His body turned into a mass of blood light and merged into the blood sea, making the power of the blood sea even stronger. In the blood sea, in front of Lu Ming, the blood sea churned and suddenly condensed into a big face. It was the face of young Master Blood Prison. Kill! The big face shouted, and an endless bloody light shot toward Lu Ming. The black dragon spear shook and turned into a spear radiance, stabbing at the blood light. At the same time, he slashed out with the sword in his left hand, sending out a huge sword chi. Boom! Boom! This time, the power of the blood-red light was even stronger. Lu Ming's body trembled, and he could not help but retreat. With just his main body, he wasn't a match for a heaven's favorite like the Blood Prison young master. Kill! At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly shouted, and the divine sword technique burst out. It turned into two black sword lights and stabbed into the sea of blood. It's a soul attack. Young Master Blood Prison's painful groans came from the blood sea. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two sword lights shot out from Lu Ming's eyes and pierced into the blood sea. Young Master Blood Prison screamed in the blood sea again. The blood sea churned rapidly. In the blood sea, young Master Blood Prison's figure reappeared, and his face was a little pale. It was not that he did not have a spiritual god defensive treasure. However, his body had turned into a blood-red light and fused into the sea of blood. This meant that his soul had also been separated. Naturally, the spiritual god defensive treasure had lost its effect. His soul had been injured by Lu Ming in one move. He had no choice but to reform his body, so that the spiritual god defensive treasure would be effective. However, when he reformed his body, the power of the blood sea was naturally much weaker. Chaos! Lu Ming shouted softly, his hands moving rapidly. In the sky outside the blood sea, a huge chaos sky-turning seal was formed. It was no smaller than the blood sea. This was the chaos sky-turning seal that Lu Ming had unleashed with all his might. What a terrifying attack! Outside, many paragons turned pale when they saw the huge chaos sky-turning seal in the sky. They felt that if such an attack were to land on them, their souls would definitely be scattered. Boom! The chaos sky-turning stamp pressed down on the blood sea. Boom! 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 The blood sea trembled and churned wildly, resisting the chaos sky-turning seal in a terrifying manner. In the sky there were continuous explosions. There's an exit! In the blood sea, Lu Ming looked up and his eyes lit up. The chaos sky-turning seal collided with the blood sea and finally blasted a gap. Lu Ming used thundering wind steps. He took a step forward, and his body turned into wind and thunder. He instantly rushed out of the gap and out of the blood sea. That guy has rushed out. Some people cried out in shock. It must be known that it wasn't easy to rush out of the blood prison young master's blood sea, and very few people could do it. Boom! At this time, the Chaos Sky-turning seal finally exhausted its energy and exploded due to the constant collisions with the Blood Sea. However, the Blood Sea had also become much more dispirited. It was not that the Chaos Sky-turning seal was not powerful. The main problem was that Lu Ming's cultivation was too much weaker than his opponent's. His opponent's Sea of Blood contained the power of laws. In addition, the Chaos Sky-turning seal was still at the 4th level, so its power was naturally limited. Even if you rush out of the Blood Sea, you will still die. The young master of Blood Prison shouted coldly. The Blood Sea condensed into a blood flag again, and he held it in his hand. The blood light on his body continuously poured into the blood flag. The blood flag grew to 100,000 feet and swept towards Lu Ming. Buzz! Lu Ming's long spear swept out and also expanded to 100,000 feet. The two of them collided with each other, and the sky and earth rumbled. Lu Ming stepped into the void and retreated. In a head-on confrontation, he was ultimately no match. Kill, kill, kill. The 10,000-foot blood flag swept toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming put down the black dragon spear. He held a Chaos Sky-turning seal in his hand and threw it at Lu Ming. This primal Chaos Empyrean seal had about 60% of its power. Boom! The Chaos Sky-turning seal was destroyed by the blood flag. But then, a few more chaotic sky-turning seals condensed in Lu Ming's hands and were thrown out in succession. The two of them engaged in an intense battle, exchanging more than 10 moves in a row. Although Lu Ming was at a disadvantage, it was impossible for the young master of Blood Prison to kill him in a short time. Boom! There was another deafening boom, and Lu Ming retreated quickly. Ha ha ha, I'm so happy today. Let's fight another day. Lu Ming laughed heartily. His figure flashed, and he headed back to Darkwater City. If you want to leave, then stay. The young master of Blood Prison let out a long roar, and his killing intent was as sharp as a blade. Today, he was actually provoked by a 9th-level martial royal realm martial artist. In the final battle, he actually couldn't take down the other party. Where would he put his face? He would not be satisfied if he did not kill Lu Ming. He waved the blood flag and chased after Lu Ming at top speed. However, Lu Ming used the Thundering Wind steps, and his speed suddenly increased. In a flash, he had rushed into the Darkwater City. Damn it! The young master of Blood Prison bellowed. But he had no choice but to stop. Lu Ming rushed into the Darkwater City and found a hidden place to remove his mask. He changed into his clothes and heaved a long sigh. Chapter 1624. 1624. The 10th Golden Crow Prince. The battle just now had almost used up all of his true yuan. However, in this battle, he had almost used up all his strength, but he was still suppressed by his opponent. However, he had also gained new knowledge in this battle. He had a new understanding of the great Tao of heaven and earth. As long as he digested it properly, he would definitely improve. Soon, he returned to the Phoenix Palace and entered the mountain and river diagram. He sat cross-legged under the path understanding ancient tree and began to comprehend quietly. 2 days later, Lu Ming finally ended his cultivation. Fighting with strong people and fighting to the death is indeed fast. It's not something that bitter cultivation can compare with. Lu Ming smiled. And MBSB, his primal chaos domain, had also improved. Then let's continue. Lu Ming smiled and left the Phoenix Palace. He found a secret place, changed into the black robe, and put on the Azura mask, and headed out of the city. It's that Azura, he's here again. Lu Ming's arrival attracted many people's attention. After all, the battle between Lu Ming and the young master of Blood Prison 2 days ago had spread like wildfire. Fight! Lu Ming was still as domineering as the last time. He fixed his eyes on a young man and threw a punch at him. Through his aura, this young man should be in existence on the same level as the Blood Prison young master. You're looking for death. The other party shouted coldly and engaged in a fierce battle with Lu Ming. This time, Lu Ming was still at a disadvantage, and he exchanged more than 100 moves with the other party. Brat, go to hell! At this moment, a beam of blood-red light rushed out of Darkwater City. It was the young master of Blood Prison. He had obviously heard the news and rushed out aggressively. I want to accompany you today. We'll fight again in 2 days. Lu Ming smiled and used the Thundering Wind steps. With a few flashes, he dodged the young master of blood prison and rushed into the dark water city. This guy is using us as whetstones, the young man who had fought with Lu Ming today said coldly. No one would feel comfortable being used as a whetstone by a LV9 martial royal realm martial artist. That person's cultivation technique is very strange. The secret skill he used is the Wan family's 10,000 soldiers' secrets. However, his domain doesn't seem to be the 10,000 soldiers' domain. It's very similar to the legendary Chaos domain. There's actually someone in this world who can cultivate the Chaos domain. It's really shocking. Moreover, his spirit body seems to be related to the 9 dragons. The young men around the lake were discussing. These people were all prodigies from Emperor-level forces, and naturally had unique judgment. Lu Ming's territory and spirit body could not be hidden from these people. It's a great era today. I didn't expect to meet someone who has cultivated the Chaos domain in the 100 clan battlefield. The Chaos domain is one of the 10 strongest domains. In the future, when he cultivates a law, it will also be one of the 10 strongest laws. That's right. I've heard that there are people who have successfully cultivated other ultimate maxims. If we can see the collision of ultimate maxims, how wonderful would that be? The genius who fought with Lu Ming today mumbled to himself. After Lu Ming entered Darkwater City, he changed into his disguise and headed to the Phoenix Palace. He did not expect to run into Feng Ling looking for him the moment he returned to the Phoenix Palace. Lu Ming, there's news on the map and key to the tomb of the Samsara King, said Huang Ling. Oh, how is it? Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he asked. There is indeed more than one map and key to the tomb of the Samsara King. The map and key to the tomb of the Samsara King have appeared in different places and were obtained by different people. This matter has been spreading like wildfire in Darkwater City, said Huang Ling. Do you know who got it? Lu Ming asked. I don't know, but I'm sure that many of them are in Darkwater City. Huang Ling shook her head. It seems like they're all waiting. Then we don't have to be in a hurry. Someone will definitely be the first to take the lead. Lu Ming said. Huang Ling nodded and left after discussing with Lu Ming. Lu Ming continued to cultivate in the mountain and river diagram. After that, Lu Ming would go out of the city every 2 days to challenge experts. Among them, he fought with the young master of blood prison the most. Although Lu Ming was at a disadvantage every time, the young master of blood prison could not do anything to him. Just like that, a month's time passed by in a flash. In the past month, Azura's name had spread throughout Darkwater City, becoming a famous battle maniac. Everyone knew that Lu Ming was using those geniuses as a whetstone. On the contrary, those geniuses were also using Lu Ming as a whetstone, forcing themselves to work hard. In the past month, Lu Ming had made rapid progress. He had already reached the peak of the 9th level martial royal realm. Therefore, in the end, when Lu Ming challenged those prodigies, his disadvantage was not so obvious anymore. He might even end up in a draw. There were too many paragons in the 100 clan battlefield, and there was no lack of opponents. That was why Lu Ming could improve so quickly. If he was in the Azure continent, he wouldn't have improved so quickly, because he didn't have that many opponents. The collision between geniuses would naturally encourage one to improve. Lu Ming's improvement was especially obvious. On this day, Lu Ming was cultivating in the mountain and river diagram. Suddenly his heart stirred. There seemed to be some movement outside. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and exited the mountain and river diagram. Gah! As soon as he came out of the mountain and river diagram, a sharp cry came from the sky. It resounded through the world and reverberated between heaven and earth. Lu Ming left the room and looked up at the sky. He realized that there were a few more suns in the sky. No, those were not the sun, but a few golden crows. Divine birds, 3-legged golden crows. There were several 3-legged golden crows. The 3-legged golden crow was also known as the divine bird of the sun. Like the true dragon and phoenix, it was also an extremely terrifying divine beast. Yen Quangta's bloodline was the 3-legged golden crow. A few 3-legged golden crows were circling in the sky above Darkwater City. Their bodies were covered in golden flames, shining brightly like a sun. What's going on? Why are those 3-legged golden crows circling in the sky? In the Phoenix Palace, The disciples were also alarmed. They appeared in the sky one by one and looked up at the sky. Huang Ling's figure appeared beside Lu Ming. Ga! Ga! A total of 4 three-legged golden crows let out bright cries, and then turned into 4 golden-robed young men, standing around the Darkwada city. Everyone, I, the crown prince of the Golden Crow race, have something to say to all of you. The 4 young men of the Golden Crow race spoke at the same time, and their voices echoed throughout the entire Darkwada city. Ga! At this time, an even louder golden crow's cry resounded through the sky. A dazzling golden light filled the sky, and then a 10,000-foot tall figure appeared in the sky. It was a young man, but he was not a physical being. Instead, he was formed from true yuan and nomological power. He wore a golden robe with the sun embroidered on it. On his head was a golden crown. He was handsome, cold and arrogant, and exuded a powerful majesty. Greetings, 10th Prince. The 4 members of the Golden Crow race greeted the towering figure at the same time. It's the 10th Prince of the Golden Crow race. He's extremely terrifying. His body is equivalent to a low-class heaven spiritual body, and he's already reached the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm, the realm where the laws can be infused into his body, said Huang Ling, her eyes filled with solemnness. Chapter 1625. 1625 Gathering. Is it a tank of laws? Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The nomological chamber, as its name suggested, was the power of the laws that poured into the body. Every muscle, and even every cell in the body was filled with the power of the laws. At this level, one's physical strength would skyrocket, and their combat strength would be very terrifying. They were only half a step away from the saint realm. Huang Ling also had a lower-class heavenly spiritual body. She was a heaven's favorite of the same level as her opponent. However, her cultivation was only at the 2nd stage of the half-saint realm. If she were to fight with her opponent, she would be defeated easily. In the 100-clan battlefield, this kind of prodigy was almost the strongest. Even the strongest prodigies would rarely come to the 100-clan battlefield because they had no effect on training. The 10th Golden Crow Prince scanned the surroundings with a dignified gaze and said, I believe everyone has heard the news that the tomb of the Reincarnation King is about to appear. Many people were shocked. The first thing the Golden Crow 10th Prince said was about the tomb of the Reincarnation Emperor. Could it be that he was doing this because of the tomb? Finally, someone can't hold it in anymore. Lu Ming smiled and exchanged glances with Huang Ling. I also know that some people have already obtained the map and key to the tomb of the Reincarnation King. They are in the Darkwater City. The 10th Golden Crow Prince continued. Many people's eyes lit up as they understood that the 10th Golden Crow Prince was going to take the lead. However, the map and key of the tomb of the Samsara Emperor are divided into many parts. It is useless to get one part. Only by gathering them together can we find the tomb of the Samsara Emperor and get the treasures inside. I will take the lead today. I also have the map and key of the tomb of the Samsara Emperor. Tomorrow at noon, those who have the map and key of the tomb of the Samsara Emperor will come to the Golden Crow Palace to meet me. What do you think? After all, if these maps don't merge with the key, they're useless. They'll only become scrap. The 10th Golden Crow Prince added one last sentence before his massive figure disappeared into the air. The 4 Golden Crow race members also disappeared into the air. How is it? Do you want to go to the Golden Crow Palace tomorrow? Huang Ling looked at Lu Ming. Of course we're going. If we don't go, our map and keys will be useless, Lu Ming said with a smile. At this moment, the eyes of some people in Darkwada City flickered. The entire Darkwada City was discussing this matter. They did not speak for a day. At noon the next day, Lu Ming and Huang Ling headed to the Golden Crow Hall. The Golden Crow Palace was also a temporary residence that the Golden Crow clan had bought in Darkwater City. It had a very wide area and was not smaller than the Phoenix Palace. When Lu Ming and Huang Ling arrived at the square in front of the Golden Crow Palace, they realized that it was already crowded. Many paragons had gathered around the square. There were also many locals. Most of the people didn't have the map or key to the tomb of the Reincarnation King. They were just here to watch the show and see who had taken the key. There were dozens of golden-robed young men standing on the square. They were all members of the Golden Crow race. Among these people, there was a young man wearing a golden crown. He sat on a chair and looked around with a majestic gaze. He was the 10th prince of the Golden Crow race. Lu Ming and Huang Ling mixed in with the crowd and did not go out. Anyone who has the map and key to the tomb of the Samsara King can come out and see me. The 10th prince's voice rang out. Bang! Bang! At this time, a figure stepped through the air and landed on the square. It was a young man who appeared to be in his 20s. He had a slender figure, and his body was surrounded by streaks of lightning. His aura was overbearing. It's Yi Dongfang from the Thunder God sect. Someone exclaimed. This person is very strong. Lu Ming's gaze also froze slightly. The thunderbolts surrounding Yi Dongfang were all formed by the laws of thunder. Once he launched an attack, it would be earth-shattering. Yi Dongfang is extremely terrifying. He's no weaker than the 10th prince of the Golden Crow. Huang Ling sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. Yi Dongfang, do you have the map and key to the tomb of the Samsara King? The 10th Golden Crow Prince's eyes shot out 2 rays of golden light as he stared at Yi Dongfang. Not bad. Yi Dongfang's palm glowed, and a jade talisman and a key appeared in his hands. When she stood up, it was almost the same as the jade talisman key that Lu Ming and Huang Ling had obtained. Take out your map and key, Yi Dongfang said. The 10th Golden Crow Prince smiled, and with a wave of his hand, a jade talisman and a key appeared in his hands. The shocking thing was that the jade talisman and the key were different. You actually obtained 2 sets of maps and keys. Yi Dongfang's eyes were filled with the power of lightning. Around them, many elites were looking at the jade talismans and keys in the hands of the Golden Crow 10th Prince, and Yi Dongfang with burning eyes. But no one dared to do anything, trying to lay their hands on the Golden Crow 10th Prince, and Yi Dongfang was no different from courting death. 3 sets are obviously far from enough. Who else has the map and key to the tomb of the Reincarnation King? The 10th Golden Crow Prince looked around. At this moment, 2 more figures stepped into the square. Without a doubt, these 2 young men were extremely terrifying heaven's favorites. Although they were not as powerful as Yi Dongfang and the Golden Crow 10th Prince, they were on the same level as Huang Ling, the young master of the blood prison, and Wan Tiancheng. A jade talisman and a key appeared in each of their hands. Then after a while another person stepped out and took out a jade talisman and key. After a while another person walked out. There was no doubt that those who had obtained the jade talisman and key of the tomb of the Reincarnation King were all extremely terrifying people. None of them were weaker than the young master of the blood prison. Wan Tiancheng was a Heaven's Pride expert of the same level. In total, there were 6 sets of jade talismans and keys to the tomb of the Samsara King in the hands of the 10th Golden Crow Prince. The eyes of Yi Dongfang, the Golden Crow 10th Prince, and the others lit up. If this continued, they might be able to gather the map and key to the tomb of the Samsara King. Is there any more? The 10th Golden Crow Prince's voice rang out again. Let's go out. Huang Ling sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. All right, Lu Ming nodded. The 2 of them stepped out and landed on the square, instantly attracting everyone's attention. That's the Phoenix Spirit of the Phoenix Palace. Who's that kid? He's standing with Fairy Feng Ling. I know. That kid came to Darkwater City with Huang Ling. As soon as he arrived, he was assassinated by an assassin from the Thousand Kills mansion. However, that assassin was easily killed by him. You dare to kill the assassins of the Thousand Kill mansion? You're quite bold. The surroundings were filled with the sound of discussion. The 10th Golden Crow Prince's gaze swept past Lu Ming and Huang Ling. Then he ignored Lu Ming and looked at Huang Ling. Feng Ling, do you have the key and the map of the tomb of the Reincarnation King? It's not on me, it should be on the 2 of us. A key appeared in her hand, while a jade talisman appeared in Lu Ming's hand. The 10th Golden Crow Prince, Yi Dongfang, and the others were all taken aback. Chapter 1626. 1626 Missing 3 portions. The 10th Golden Crow Prince, Yi Dongfang, and the others were all surprised. They did not expect Lu Ming, who was only at the 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm, to have a map. It was obvious that it was a set with the key in Huang Ling's hand. However, with Huang Ling's abilities, Why didn't she snatch the map from Lu Ming's hands? Wouldn't it be better to combine the map and the key? Why did they have to control one each? He's from your Phoenix Palace? The 10th Golden Crow Prince asked curiously. No. Huang Ling shook her head. Not from the Phoenix Palace? Many people's eyes lit up. A mere LV9 Martial Royal Realm expert is not qualified to control the map of the tomb of the Samsara King. Just give it to me. A cold voice was heard. A figure stepped out, and a powerful aura enveloped Lu Ming. Blood Prison's young master. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a cold light. Boy, give me the map of the tomb of the Reincarnation King. You don't deserve it. The young master of Blood Prison said coldly. His eyes were filled with greed. With his strength, he didn't even get a key or map to the tomb of the Reincarnation King, which made him jealous. None of the others were weaker than him, so he naturally did not dare to make a move. However, Lu Ming was merely at the 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm, and he did not take him seriously at all. On the side, the 10th Golden Crow Prince, Yi Dongfang, and the others just looked on indifferently. They didn't say anything and didn't stop him. Having the map, or the key, meant that they were qualified to open the tomb of the Reincarnation King with them. However, those who had the map and the key were all extremely talented and powerful. Lu Ming was only at the 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm. How could he be qualified to be with them? I'm not qualified. Do you have one? Lu Ming sneered. I didn't. Then I'll let you know if I have it or not. Young Master of Blood Prison's eyes were cold. A blood-red light condensed on his body, and his powerful aura pressed toward Lu Ming. Suddenly, the cry of a phoenix was heard. A powerful aura burst out from Huang Ling's body, and she stood in front of Lu Ming. She stared at young Master of Blood Prison and said coldly, Blood Prison, Lu Ming is with me. If you want to attack him, let's see if you can defeat me. Feng Ling, what are you doing? Do you really want to cooperate with the LV9 Martial Royal Realm expert? I'm afraid that he will be a burden to you when we enter the tomb of the Reincarnation King. Give me the map and work with me. That's the way to go. The Blood Prison young master said, trying to persuade Feng Ling, get lost or we'll fight. Shut up. Huang Ling scolded coldly. You. The young master of Blood Prison was furious, but he was afraid of Huang Ling. Although Huang Ling was a heaven's favorite on the same level as him, she had the undying heavenly phoenix body, and her life force was too strong. In battle, she was not afraid of death. She used her strong life force to exhaust her opponents to death. Among the heaven's favorites of the same level, Feng Ling was the most difficult to deal with. Detestable. Young Master of Blood Prison roared in his heart. What was wrong with this Huang Ling? Was she out of her mind? She would rather work with Lu Ming than him. What was the difference between bringing Lu Ming along and bringing a burden? Could this kid be Feng Ling's lover? Young Master of Blood Prison thought. He was not the only one. Many people around the square had the same thought. Kid, with your cultivation, you won't get any treasure even if you enter the tomb of the Reincarnation King. You'll only waste the map. I'll give you a chance now. How about you sell the map to me? The young Master of Blood Prison still didn't give up. Get lost. Lu Ming's answer was very simple. It was only one word. What did you just say? The killing intent of the young Master of Blood Prison grew. He glared at Lu Ming and said, Kid, don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you have Huang Ling's support. You're just a piece of trash who only knows how to hide behind a woman. Let's see if you can keep the map of the tomb of the Reincarnation King. After saying that, the young Master of Blood Prison snorted coldly and left the square. In the crowd, two people looked at Lu Ming with fear. They were Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang. The two of them had also come to Darkwater City. They knew Lu Ming's combat strength very well. Even Wan Tiancheng had been killed by Lu Ming. Of course, they would not remind the young Master of Blood Prison about Lu Ming's combat strength. Wouldn't it be better if Lu Ming made enemies? He could borrow the hands of others to deal with Lu Ming. Does anyone else have the map and key to the tomb of the Reincarnation King? The 10th Golden Crow Prince's voice rang out again. The crowd around the square looked at each other. This time, no one stepped out. After that, the 10th Golden Crow Prince asked a few more questions, but no one came out. Obviously, there was no more. Everyone, we have 7 sets here. Let's take a look and see if they're all here. What do you think? The 10th Golden Crow Prince suggested. Good, just what I want. Yi Dongfang was the first to speak, followed by the others. Let's activate the pattern on the map and put it together to take a look. The Golden Crow 10th Prince said. With a wave of his hand, a golden screen of light enveloped them, making it impossible for anyone else to see them. Many sighed. They had originally wanted to peek at the map, but it seemed like they had no chance. Within the golden light screen, the 10th Golden Crow Prince took out 2 jade talismans. He poured energy into them, and the 2 jade talismans lit up. In the air, 2 maps appeared. Then, Yi Dongfang also injected his ethereal force into the jade talisman, and another map appeared. The 3 pieces of the map pieced together in the air to form an even larger map, but it was obvious that it was incomplete. Following that, the rest of them channeled their vital essence into their jade talismans, and incomplete maps appeared one after another. Lu Ming did the same, and the jade talisman in his hand also appeared. A total of 7 maps were pieced together. It's still incomplete. The 10th Golden Crow Prince's face darkened. It was obvious that the 7 pieces of the map were pieced together to form a larger map, but it was still missing something. There was a missing piece in the middle and a missing corner on both sides. According to the size, there should be 3 missing pieces. There should be 10 maps and 10 keys in total. It's indeed incomplete. There's no specific location on the map. It seems that only when all 10 maps are complete will the specific location be shown, Yi Dongfang said. Perhaps the person who obtained the remaining map and keys of the tomb of the Samsara King is not in Darkwada City, but in the other 3 cities. Someone said. In the center of the 100 Tribes battlefield, there were 4 major cities where a large number of geniuses had gathered. The remaining maps were likely to be in other cities. It's possible. They'll send people to the other 3 cities to spread the news. It's best for us to stay in Darkwada City for the time being. When the map and key are ready, we'll set off for the tomb of the Reincarnation Emperor. The Golden Crow 10th Prince said. The others nodded and put away the map. Some of them glanced at Lu Ming coldly, and a strange light flashed in their eyes. However, after they glanced at Huang Ling, they all looked fearful. The 10th Golden Crow Prince waved his hand, and the light barrier disappeared. Everyone's eyes were on them, wondering if they knew where the tomb of the Reincarnation Emperor was. Chapter 1627. 1627 Chaos Heaven Flipping Seals Breakthrough. I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first, Yi Dongfang said and left. Me too. Then, the others stepped into the air and left. It seems that the map isn't complete. Otherwise, they wouldn't have dispersed. That should be the case. They're waiting for the remaining maps and keys. The people in the surroundings guessed. Lu Ming and Huang Ling also stepped into the air and left. Many people's eyes fell on Lu Ming with greed in their eyes. Their eyes darted around, and no one knew what they were thinking. Very soon, Lu Ming and Feng Ling returned to the Phoenix Palace. I must continue to improve my strength, Lu Ming pondered in his heart. With his current combat strength, together with Bubbles and Ming Lian, it was more than enough to deal with geniuses like young Master of Blood Prison. However, against geniuses like the 10th Golden Crow Prince and Yi Dongfang, he was still slightly lacking. However, Lu Ming's current cultivation had already reached the peak of the 9th level martial royal realm. It would be too difficult for him to break through in a short period of time. This was because he would be able to comprehend the ultimate domain and enter the first stage of the half-saint realm if he were to take another step forward. It was not easy to break through from the 9th level martial royal realm to the half-saint realm. In a short period of time, Lu Ming had 2 ways to improve his combat strength. The first was the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal, and the second was to improve his soul power. He felt that he would soon be able to break through the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal and step into the 5th level. As for his soul power, as long as he refined the demonic fiend crystals, he would be able to continuously increase it. Although geniuses like the young Master of Blood Prison and Huang Ling all had spiritual god defensive treasures that could defend their souls, their defensive power was only relative. If one's soul power was strong enough, one could still break through the defense and have a major impact on the soul. If Lu Ming's soul force was comparable to a bright saint or even a great saint, he could break through young master blood prison's spiritual god defensive treasure and destroy his soul with a shout and a look. At the end of the day, it was because Lu Ming's soul power was not strong enough. His current soul power was only equivalent to that of a second-stage half-saint. When Lu Ming's soul force reached the third stage of the half-saint realm, even if the other party had a spiritual god defensive treasure, he would still be able to cause a major impact. Therefore, Lu Ming decided not to take on the challenge for the time being. He would stay in the Phoenix Palace and cultivate in peace. Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the path understanding ancient tree. His mind was in an ethereal state, as he comprehended the chaos sky-turning seal. In a hall of a palace in Darkwater City, the young master of Blood Prison sat on the throne with a cold expression. I must get a map or key to the tomb of the Reincarnation King. The young master of Blood Prison said coldly as he clenched his fists. Without the map or key of the tomb of the Reincarnation King, he was not even qualified to participate. Only with a map or key of the tomb of the Reincarnation King could he be qualified to participate. Young master, do you have any plans? There were a few other young men in the hall. They were all the subordinates of the young master of Blood Prison. One of them spoke. Seize! Young master of Blood Prison's eyes lit up as he said, that guy called Lu Ming is only at LV9 Martial Royal Realm. What right does he have to possess a map? That map should belong to me. The other people's faces changed, and one of them said, but young master, Lu Ming is hiding in Darkwater City. We can't make a move there. Moreover, he's in the Phoenix Palace. The Phoenix Spirit is in the Phoenix Palace. How can we take him away? I'll find a way to ask for help to deal with Huang Ling. As long as I can lure her away, Lu Ming will be easy to deal with. He's only at the 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm. I can take him down in an instant. As long as I can take him down, I'll leave Darkwater City quickly. Even the Sage Realm experts in Darkwater City will be helpless against me. The young master of Blood Prison said in a cold voice. Young master is wise. The others quickly flattered him. Yes. During this period of time, keep a close eye on Phoenix Palace and Lu Ming's movements. I'll find a way to find someone to help us distract the Phoenix Spirit. Once I find someone to help us, we can take action. The young master of Blood Prison said. Lu Ming had no idea about young master of Blood Prison's plot. He was fully focused on cultivating the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal. Lu Ming had long cultivated the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal to the peak of the 4th level. After this period of killing and tempering, it was on the verge of a breakthrough. Therefore, after Lu Ming cultivated it with all his heart for 2 days, the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal naturally broke through and reached the 5th level. The cultivation of the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal was very difficult. For example, Lu Ming did not take long to cultivate the Thundering Wind Steps and 13 accumulated power strikes to the 6th level. However, the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal had only broken through to the 5th level after cultivating for so long. It was difficult to cultivate, but correspondingly, it was more powerful. Every time the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal broke through a level, its power would skyrocket, especially the last 2 levels. In the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming stood on the peak of a mountain. His Chaos domain surged and a Chaos Sky-Turning stamp appeared in his palm, growing larger and larger. Then, Lu Ming shook his palm, and the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal disappeared automatically. Then, another Chaos Sky-Turning Seal condensed in Lu Ming's other palm. In the past, Lu Ming had to form hand seals to condense the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal. Now he did not even need to do so. He could condense the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal with a single thought. This way it would be more convenient to fight. Now increase my soul force. Lu Ming smiled and sat on the ground. He took out a demonic evil crystal and began to refine it. In the blink of an eye, another 5 days passed. After 5 days of continuous refining, Lu Ming's soul force had also made a breakthrough. The strength of his soul force was equivalent to the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm. I've been in seclusion for a while. It's time to go out and see if there's any news, Lu Ming thought to himself. The next moment, he exited the mountain and river diagram and sent a message to Huang Ling. Not long after, Huang Ling found Lu Ming. Huang Ling, how is it? Did anyone come with the key and the map of the tomb of the reincarnation king? Lu Ming asked. 3 days ago an expert came. He had a map and a key. We are still short of 2 more, said Huang Ling. Oh, it seems that it will be soon. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming, the situation in Darkwada City is getting more and more complicated. Many experts have come from other cities. You have to be careful these days. Huang Ling reminded. Lu Ming nodded. He had a premonition that before the tomb of the reincarnation emperor was opened, there would be a storm. Darkwada City would not be peaceful. At this moment, a female disciple of Phoenix Palace came forward and bowed to Feng Ling Saintess. Young Master Tunying of the Heavenly Bird Palace has sent someone here. He said that he is hosting a banquet at the Drunken Immortal restaurant and would like to invite you to have a chat. Young Master Tianying. Huang Ling frowned. Holy Maiden, are you going? The people from Tianqin Palace also said that young Master Tianying has invited the 10th Prince of the Golden Crow. And now you're the only one left. The female disciple of Phoenix Palace said. Yes. Huang Ling pondered for a moment and said, Go and tell him that he'll be there in a while. Yes. The female disciple of Phoenix Palace bowed and retreated. Chapter 1628. 1628 Chapter 1628 Taking Action. The Heavenly Bird Palace? Is it also an emperor-rank power? Lu Ming asked curiously. That's right, and it's a very terrifying emperor-level force. The Heavenly Bird Palace is made up of terrifying bird-type demonic beasts and divine beasts, and its experts are as many as the clouds. As for the Phoenix Palace, although we are humans, our bloodline and spiritual body are all related to phoenixes, so the relationship between the Phoenix Palace and the Heavenly Bird Palace is very good. Young Master Tianying is a peerless genius of the Heavenly Bird Palace. He invited me to a banquet, and I couldn't refuse. Lu Ming, you can walk around the Phoenix Palace by yourself. I'm leaving, said Huang Ling. All right, you can go. Lu Ming nodded. The Phoenix spirit turned around and left. Lu Ming strolled around the Phoenix Palace for a while to relax. He returned to his room and planned to enter the mountain and river diagram to continue cultivating. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. There was someone in his room. There were 3 young men who looked at Lu Ming with lightning-like eyes. Buzz! One of the young men moved and appeared at the door. After a while, an inscription scroll appeared. Countless inscriptions filled the air and formed a circle of light that enveloped the room. Everyone, you've entered the wrong room, Lu Ming said calmly. Nonsense. Lu Ming, hand over the map of the tomb of the reincarnation king. You're not qualified to have it. One of the young men spoke, his voice cold. The 3 young men exuded a powerful aura. They were all experts at the 2nd stage of the half-saint realm. However, they were all upper-grade earth spiritual bodies. Who sent you? Say it and then get lost. Lu Ming shouted coldly. You're looking for death. Since you don't want to hand it over, I'll take it myself. One of the young men shouted coldly. He stepped forward and grabbed at Lu Ming with his palm. His palm enlarged rapidly and was covered in a bloody light. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch, and it was as if he was crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. The young man's palm exploded directly, and his body was sent flying. He crashed into the light circle and broke the light circle. His body crashed through the wall of the room and flew out. Then, Lu Ming turned around and threw another punch. The young man standing at the door was also sent flying by the punch. How is that possible? The last young man was shocked. They were all at the 2nd stage of the half-saint realm and had comprehended the laws. However, they were no match for Lu Ming and were sent flying with each punch. He didn't even think as his figure shot up into the sky, broke through the room, and rushed out. Since you've come, don't leave, Lu Ming said coldly. He moved and chased after the young man, approaching him rapidly. The young man was scared out of his wits and shouted, Young master, save me! Boom! As soon as the other party finished speaking, Lu Ming had already appeared beside him. The flowing essence gloves glowed, and he threw a punch, tearing the other party into pieces. Usually, geniuses with superior grade earth spiritual bodies were no match for Lu Ming, unless they had reached the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm and were affected by the laws. they would be easily crushed and killed. Buzz! 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 At this moment, the sound of air being torn could be heard from all directions. More than a dozen figures rushed toward Lu Ming with cold killing intent that was not concealed at all. So many experts had actually entered. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and activated the godly sword technique through sound waves, swarming toward the dozen or so experts. With Lu Ming's soul power, which had reached the third stage of the half-saint realm, the divine sword technique was shockingly powerful. Those young men immediately let out shrill screams and fell to the ground one after another, no longer breathing. Damn it, Lu Ming, you deserve to die. An angry roar was heard. A blood-red figure appeared in the air and charged toward Lu Ming. Young master of Blood Prison, it's you, Lu Ming said coldly. The last person to appear was the young master of Blood Prison. At this moment, young master Blood Prison's body was filled with cold killing intent, and his eyes were red. He was furious and his heart ached. Initially, he thought that it would be enough to deal with Lu Ming and a few geniuses at the second stage of the semi-sage realm. He would bring more than 10 experts to support them. However, he did not expect that the 3 experts would be killed by Lu Ming in an instant. Even the other 10 or so experts were killed by Lu Ming's soul attack. These were all geniuses, and it made his heart bleed. He had to tear Lu Ming into 1,000 pieces. And MBSB a blood-red flag appeared in his hand. The blood-red flag expanded rapidly and covered the sky. It turned into a sea of blood and enveloped Lu Ming and the entire courtyard. Who is it? The disciples of Phoenix Palace were alarmed and rushed out of their courtyards. They stood high in the sky, but their expressions changed when they saw the sea of blood. The blood sea was too terrifying. If an ordinary person was enveloped by it, only death would await them. It's young Master Blood Prison. How dare he cause trouble in our Phoenix Palace? Go and report to the Holy Maiden. The disciples of Phoenix Palace were in an uproar. There was a huge commotion here. Not only Phoenix Palace, but more than half of the city was alarmed. One figure after another rushed into the sky and watched from afar. It's young Master Blood Prison. He's actually attacking Phoenix Palace. It must be for the map of the tomb of the Samsara Emperor in Lu Ming's hands. But to be honest, Lu Ming is not qualified to control a map. Young Master Blood Prison, aren't you afraid of Feng Ling? He's most likely using some other method to block the Phoenix spirit. Many people thought about it and guessed the purpose of young Master of Blood Prison. Drunken Immortal Restaurant was quite a distance away from Phoenix Palace, but the commotion in Phoenix Palace could still be heard here. Damn it, it's that guy from Blood Prison. Huang Ling rushed out of the Drunken Immortal Restaurant and looked in the direction of the Phoenix Palace with a gloomy expression. Buzz! Buzz! 2 figures appeared beside her. One was a young man in a black feather robe, and the other was the 10th Golden Crow Prince. Feng Ling, let's continue drinking, the black-feathered robe youth said calmly. Young Master Tianying, I didn't expect you to join forces with the Blood Prison. You asked me out in advance, so that the Blood Prison could make a move, right? Huang Ling coldly looked at the man in black. This man was young Master Tianying of the Heavenly Bird Palace. Young Master Tianying chuckled. He didn't admit or deny it, but there was indeed an aura that locked onto Huang Ling. What's the Blood Prison doing? How could they cause such a big commotion when they're dealing with a mere LV9 Martial Emperor? Young Master Tianying snorted in his heart. The 10th Golden Crow Prince's face was calm. He didn't know about this before, and now that he did, he wouldn't care. Feng Ling, let's continue drinking. Young Master Tianying continued. All right, if you want to drink, I'll accompany you. Suddenly, Huang Ling let out an inexplicable smile, turned around, and returned to the Drunken Immortal Restaurant. This caused young Master Tianying to be stunned. He had thought that Huang Ling would directly rush to the Phoenix Palace to save him. He did not expect her to return to the Drunken Immortal Restaurant. It seems like Huang Ling and Lu Ming are not on good terms. Sky Eagle laughed in its heart. He didn't know that Huang Ling knew Lu Ming's combat strength. Lu Ming had killed Wan Tianqing back then. Now that his cultivation had improved, he was undoubtedly stronger. Young Master Blood Prison was clearly courting death by targeting Lu Ming. Chapter 1629. 1629 Lu Ming's combat strength in the Phoenix Palace. Young Master Blood Prison activated the blood flag crazily. His entire body was about to turn into a blood-red light and merge into the blood sea to refine Lu Ming. This move again. The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Then, he raised his hands and held them in the air. Boom! In the sky, a huge chaos sky-turning seal appeared. It pressed down on the blood sea like Mount Tai. Boom! The blood sea trembled violently. A large amount of blood-colored energy was obliterated, and the blood sea was being suppressed and reduced in size. When Lu Ming first fought with young Master Blood Prison, he could only open a hole in the blood sea by using the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal with all his strength. But now, the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal had broken through to the 5th level, and its power had increased greatly. Even if Lu Ming did not use his full strength, he could still suppress the blood sea and continuously obliterate it. Buzz! The blood sea trembled. Lu Ming turned into a beam of light and rushed out of the blood sea, standing high in the sky. Azura! Lu Ming, you're an Azura! The blood prison young master roared madly, and his voice spread far and wide. What? Shura? Lu Ming is the Azura? That extremely mysterious and powerful Azura is actually Lu Ming? It's possible. Don't forget that Azura's cultivation is also at the 9th level of the martial royal realm, the same as Lu Ming's. Young Master of Blood Prison's roar shocked many people. Lu Ming was the mysterious Azura who had been challenging experts. Whoosh! The young Master of Blood Prison retrieved the blood sea, which turned back into a huge flag, and was held in his hand. Lu Ming, since you're an Azura, I've come to the wrong person. After saying this much, the young Master of Blood Prison wanted to leave. He knew that if Lu Ming was an Azura, he would not be able to take him down. Hee, since you've come today, you'll stay here forever, just like your subordinates. Lu Ming said coldly. He took a step forward, and at the same time, light spots appeared on his body. 12 holy weapons floated around him. Whoosh! Lu Ming held the black dragon spear and thrust it at young Master Blood Prison. You want to kill me? Just you. The young Master of Blood Prison bellowed and waved the blood flag. Blood-red light filled the sky as he fought with Lu Ming. Boom! 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 The two of them exchanged a few moves in a row, their chi unrestrained. Lu Ming, even if you use your ultimate move, you'll only be on par with me. You want to kill me? Dream on. The young Master of Blood Prison roared. Kill, die. Lu Ming suddenly shouted and activated his divine sword technique. 2 jet black sword lights shot out from his eyes and rushed into young Master Blood Prison's body. Soul attack techniques are useless against me. I have the spiritual god's defense. Ah. The young Master of Blood Prison stopped mid-sentence and let out a painful roar. He felt a tearing pain in his soul. How can your soul be so powerful? The young Master of Blood Prison roared. Lu Ming sneered and stepped into the void. A chaos sky-turning stamp appeared in his palm, and he threw it at young Master Blood Prison. Boom! This Chaos Empyrean seal had about 60% of its full power, and its power was equally shocking. The young Master of Blood Prison waved the blood flag and attacked the primal Chaos Sky-Turning seal. However, the young Master of Blood Prison was struck by Lu Ming's divine sword technique. His soul was in great pain, and his strength was reduced. After the violent collision, young Master of Blood Prison was forced to retreat. Buzz! Another Chaos Sky-Turning seal appeared in Lu Ming's hand, and he pressed it down on young Master Blood Prison. After Lu Ming threw out the Sky-Turning stamp, a terrifying wave spread out from his palm. One could see that a Chaos Empyrean seal had appeared on each of Lu Ming's palms. 2 Chaos Empyrean seals had appeared all at once. One after another, they charged towards young Master Blood Prison. At the same time, Lu Ming used the divine sword technique to attack young Master Blood Prison. Boom! 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 Young Master of Blood Prison used all his strength to resist, but after continuously blocking 5 or 6 Chaos Sky-Turning seals, the blood light on his body kept trembling. His face was as pale as paper, and blood kept flowing out of his mouth. Under the continuous attacks of the primal Chaos Sky-Turning seal and the godly sword technique, the young master of Blood Prison was severely injured. When his soul power and the Chaos Sky-turning seal had not broken through, Lu Ming's main body could only fight young Master Blood Prison to a draw even if he used all his strength. But now, he could completely suppress young Master Blood Prison. Let's go! The young Master of Blood Prison was scared. After blasting apart a primal Chaos Sky-turning stamp, he wanted to escape. However, an even larger Sky-turning stamp was formed and pressed down on him. At the same time, Lu Ming's glabella glowed. Ming Lian stepped out, and a Tai Chi formation disc appeared. A Tai Chi pattern appeared and pressed down on young Master Blood Prison. How is that possible? Young Master of Blood Prison's pupils contracted sharply as he tried his best to resist. However, he was unable to resist the main body and the secondary body. Boom! Under the joint attack of the Tai Chi pattern and the Chaos Sky-turning seal, his body exploded and turned into a mass of blood light. Then, the blood light wriggled and condensed into young Master Blood Prison's body again. However, his aura was much weaker than before. He was extremely weak. Buzz! The Tai Chi pattern above the second Buddha's head glowed and turned into two yin-yang fish swords, which slashed toward young Master Blood Prison. Young Master of Blood Prison was terrified, and he frantically waved the blood flag to block the attack. The yin-yang fish sword turned into two streaks of black and white sword radiance. They cut through the void and struck the blood flag. The blood light of the blood flag was directly broken. The yin-yang fish sword cut 2 holes in the blood flag, and the power of the blood flag was almost destroyed. Kill, die! Lu Ming shouted. This time, he used all his strength to cast the Chaos Sky-turning seal. A huge Chaos Sky-turning seal formed, and was going to kill young Master Blood Prison. No! Young Master of Blood Prison shouted in fear. He was already severely injured, his aura weak and dispirited. Now that the blood flag was crippled and Lu Ming had unleashed the Chaos Sky-turning stamp with all his might, he had a feeling that he was going to be killed by this move. Lu Ming, you can't kill me. We're in Darkwater City. You can't do it. Senior, save me. The young Master of Blood Prison roared like a madman. He wanted to get the native Saint Realm experts in the Darkwater City to interfere. Before he made his move, he was afraid that the local Saint Stage powerhouses would interfere. Now, he desperately hoped that the local Saint Stage powerhouses would intervene. Unfortunately, he was disappointed. There was no movement at all. The native Saint Stage powerhouses did not seem to have any intention of making a move. This surprised many people in the surroundings. In the past, if such a huge commotion was caused, the local saints would have already intervened. However, there was no movement at all today. Die! Lu Ming said coldly. He raised his hands, and the primal Chaos Sky-turning seal emitted a terrifying aura that pressed down on young Master Blood Prison. Whoosh! At this moment, a terrifying sword light pierced through the void behind Lu Ming. It crossed a long distance in an instant and stabbed toward Lu Ming's back. This sword light was too terrifying. It was fast, accurate, and ruthless. Most importantly, the timing was perfect. It attacked when Lu Ming was attacking young Master of Blood Prison with all his might. Furthermore, there was no warning at all. Chapter 1630. 1630 Killing Blood Prison's Young Master Assassins from the 1,000-Kill Mansion. A thought emerged in Lu Ming's mind. Moreover, this was an extremely terrifying assassin. He was 10 times more terrifying than any assassin from the residence of 1,000 Kills that Lu Ming had encountered before. He was definitely a Heaven's Pride expert on the same level as the Blood Prison Young Master, Wan Tiancheng, and the others. Moreover, he was an assassin. If it were any other Heaven's favorite like the Blood Prison Young Master, they would have been killed by this sword without any doubt. But Lu Ming was not just anyone. During this period, he had been on guard against the assassins of 1,000-Kill Mansion, no matter where he was, even in the war. Therefore, he had sensed at the moment the assassin from 1,000 Kills Mansion made his move. He had not let Bubbles make a move, because he was on guard against the assassins from 1,000 Kill Manor. Therefore, when the sword light pierced Lu Ming's body, his body shattered like glass. Lu Ming's body had already reappeared more than 10 meters away. At the critical moment, Bubbles made a move. She used the space-time domain to move Lu Ming more than 10 meters away, while the Chaos Sky-Turning Stamp continued to suppress him. Boom! The Primal Chaos Sky-Turning Seal, which was used at full power, struck young Master Blood Prison's body. His body instantly exploded and turned into a ball of blood light. The blood light wriggled and tried to escape, but the terrifying power of the Primal Chaos Sky-Turning Stamp was constantly obliterating young Master Blood Prison. No! The young Master of Blood Prison let out an unwilling and miserable cry. Then the mass of blood light was completely obliterated and disappeared from the world. The young Master of Blood Prison was dead. Whoosh! At this moment, another sword gleam was aimed at Lu Ming. It was shockingly fast and powerful. However, Lu Ming was already prepared. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch at the sword radiance. The sword radiance trembled, and a man in black appeared. He borrowed the power of Lu Ming's punch and retreated rapidly. The second attack was blocked by Lu Ming again. The other party knew that the assassination had failed and wanted to retreat. Stay here. Lu Ming kicked the Black Dragon Spear. The Black Dragon Spear turned into a black bolt of lightning and shot towards the other party. Lu Ming used the Thunderwind Steps and took a step forward. He grabbed a combat sword beside him and slashed. A 10,000-meter-long sword light slashed toward the man in black. Buzz! And MBSB whoosh! The man in black was extremely fast. His figure flashed nonstop, leaving a trail of afterimages behind him. He first dodged the Black Dragon Spear's attack, then slashed out a sword gleam that collided with Lu Ming's sword gleam. However, at this moment, a transparent bubble suddenly appeared around the black-robed man's body, enveloping him within. His body instantly stiffened. The second body controlled the yin-yang fish sword and slashed at the other party. The assassin in black's body suddenly turned illusionary, and then an amazing sword light burst out, breaking the transparent bubble in one stroke. He wanted to escape, but he was still one step too late. The black sword of the yin-yang fish sword slashed his body, almost cutting him in half at the waist. Fresh blood scattered in the sky. The assassin in black roared, and his body was covered in a layer of black mist. His speed suddenly increased, and he disappeared into the void in a few flashes. The assassins of the 1,000-kill mansion were too powerful. They failed to kill their target and wanted to retreat. Even Lu Ming could not keep them here. All of this seemed to take a long time, but it actually happened in an instant. At this moment, many of the surrounding onlookers finally reacted and gasped. The young Master of Blood Prison is dead. Heavens! Lu Ming killed the young Master of Blood Prison. He died at the hands of a LV9 Martial Royal Realm martial artist. Unbelievable! Lu Ming is a Shura, and he's become stronger again. Also, what's that body? Could it be a clone? But it doesn't look like it. Even the assassins of the 1,000-kill mansion were injured and forced to retreat. It's too terrifying. The scene was in a clamor. Many people were discussing excitedly, and were shocked by Lu Ming's strength and means. In Drunken Immortal Restaurant, young Master Tianying was no longer calm. He stood high in the sky and looked into the distance. At this moment his face was extremely gloomy. That blood prison is really courting death. Holding a wine cup, Huang Ling walked to young Master Tianying's side and spoke indifferently. You already knew about Lu Ming's ability? Young Master Tianying said through gritted teeth. Hee, what do you think? Huang Ling smiled. Young Master Tianying's face was as black as charcoal. It was obvious that Huang Ling knew that young Master Blood Prison was no match for Lu Ming, which was why she had been so calm. Young Master Tianying snorted coldly. With a wave of his sleeve, he stepped into the air and left. This Lu Ming is the #1 person. The 10th Golden Crow Prince placed his hands behind his back and spoke calmly before stepping into the air and leaving. Lu Ming, it looks like you've become stronger again. Phoenix Palace. Phoenix Spirit muttered and flew toward the Phoenix Palace. Soon, Huang Ling returned to the Phoenix Palace. Lu Ming, are you alright? Said Huang Ling. I'm fine. Feng Ling, it seems like there's a traitor in your Phoenix Palace. Lu Ming shook his head. And NBSB the Blood Prison young Master's men had been able to sneak into his room without making a sound, which meant that someone from the Phoenix Palace had helped him. Otherwise, it would have been impossible. I will investigate this matter. Her voice turned cold as she glanced at the disciples of Phoenix Palace. The disciples' expressions changed. Lu Ming, don't you find it strange that the local stage powerhouse of Darkwada City didn't make a move this time? Huang Ling said. Indeed. Lu Ming nodded. He also felt that this was a little strange. The two of them discussed for a while, but could not come to a conclusion. They could only guess that the local stage powerhouses were not around. However, he heard that there was more than one Sage Realm expert in Darkwada City. It couldn't be that all of them were gone. Since she could not figure it out, she did not think too much about it. Huang Ling arranged a new courtyard for Lu Ming to stay in. The surrounding crowd also dispersed, and the news of this battle quickly spread throughout Darkwada City. This battle had made Lu Ming famous. To be able to kill a genius like the young master of Blood Prison. In the eyes of many, Lu Ming was even more terrifying than Huang Ling. They finally knew why Huang Ling and Lu Ming had the map and key to the tomb of the Samsara King. It was because Lu Ming had the ability to do so. The crowd no longer dared to underestimate Lu Ming, who was a LV9 Martial Royal Realm expert. Of course, there was another matter that had a huge impact. Why didn't the local stage powerhouses make a move? This matter was very strange, and everyone had different opinions. However, in the next few days, this topic became even more heated. This was because there had been a few more battles in Darkwada City these few days, but none of the local saints had made a move. This made many people wonder if the native sages had stopped caring about the situation. In other words, they could attack as they pleased in the city, just like they did outside. As soon as this statement came out, everyone in Darkwada City was in danger. Chapter 1631. 1631 Chapter 1631 Surging Undercurrent in the Blink of an Eye. 7 days had passed since Lu Ming killed young master of Blood Prison. In the past 7 days, someone finally entered the Darkwater City with the key and the tomb of King Samsara. In this way, there was only one more copy of the map and key to the tomb of the Reincarnation King. At this time, the atmosphere in Darkwada City became even more solemn. The other 3 cities' supreme talents had also heard about the news of the tomb of the Reincarnation Emperor and entered the Darkwater City. Boom! On the night of the 7th day, there was a shocking sound in Darkwater City. Someone was fighting. One figure after another charged into the sky and looked into the distance. Lu Ming also rushed to the sky from his room and watched from a distance. Buzz! Then, Lu Ming saw a young man rushing into the sky in an attempt to escape. It's him! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat as he recognized this young man. This man was the Heaven's favorite who had the key and the map of the tomb of the Samsara King. He was also an expert with a heavenly spiritual body and had comprehended the laws. Boom! A large yellow hand suddenly formed and grabbed at the young man. The young man used all his strength in an attempt to break the hand. In the end, the yellow hand was broken, but the young man himself was also severely injured and spat out a mouthful of blood. Give me the map and key to the tomb of the Reincarnation King, and I'll spare your life. A young man in a yellow robe appeared in the sky, and his vast aura suppressed the surroundings. La Tank! Lu Ming could tell at a glance that this yellow-robed young man was a half-saint with a body of laws. Moreover, he was also a heavenly spiritual body, on the same level as the 10 Golden Crow Princes and Yi Dongfang. Don't even think about it, the young man roared, and tried to break out of the encirclement. However, the yellow-robed young man's eyes turned cold. With a wave of his hand, a huge stone sword appeared in the sky and slashed towards the young man. There was a huge difference between the 2nd stage and the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm. The young man was no match for him at all. After a few moves, his body was penetrated by a stone sword, and the spiritual god was almost destroyed. Don't kill me. I'll give you the map and key to the tomb of the Reincarnation King. In the end, the young man was scared and handed over the map and key to the tomb of the Reincarnation King. The yellow-robed young man put away the key to the map of the tomb of the Reincarnation Emperor and snorted coldly. He stepped into the air and disappeared into the Darkwater City. Although the young man was unwilling, he had no other choice. However, the native saints still didn't make a move. The Dark Water City is going to be in chaos. Many people sighed. The paragons of the other 3 cities had all come to Darkwater City, but the native saints of Darkwater City did not interfere. Everyone knew that Darkwater City was going to be in chaos. Everyone wanted to enter the tomb of the Reincarnation Emperor, including the map. There would be a fight for it. The people who controlled the map and the key of the tomb would probably be reshuffled. For a time, Darkwater City was filled with undercurrents. Lu Ming and Huang Ling's expressions turned solemn as well. Their courtyards were very close to each other. Furthermore, they had been in closed-door cultivation and had not gone anywhere. They were afraid that once they separated, they would be attacked and the map and key of the tomb of the Samsara King would be taken. On the second night, another huge battle happened. A heaven's favorite who had the key to the map of the tomb of the Reincarnation King wanted to leave Darkwater City at night and hide in the dark. He would come out after he had collected all the keys. However, as soon as he stepped out of the city gate of Darkwater City, he was besieged by 3 heaven's favorites of the same level. In the end, he was seriously injured and had to hand over the map and the key. As a result, the atmosphere in Darkwater City became even more solemn. Other than the 10 Golden Crow Princes and Yi Dongfang, who they were not afraid of, the other people who had the key to the map of the tomb of the Samsara King had already found people to cooperate with. Their goal was to increase their strength. Otherwise, if they were taken away, they would have nothing left. A few more days passed, but the last set of map keys still did not appear. On this day, 2 figures arrived at the Phoenix Palace. Lu Ming and Huang Ling appeared together. Zhao Kuang, Sima Liang, it's you? Why have you come to my Phoenix Palace? Said Huang Ling. The 2 who had just arrived were Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang. Huang Ling, Lu Ming, we're here to form an alliance with you. Zhao Kuang said. There are so many powerful cultivators in the Dark Water City now. How about we form an alliance and go to the tomb of the Samsara King together? Sima Liang continued. Oh, an alliance? Do you have the key and the map to the tomb of the Reincarnation King? Lu Ming asked. Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang were stunned. Naturally, I don't. Since you don't have it, what right do you have to form an alliance with us? Get lost. Lu Ming waved his hands casually. These 2 people had a good idea. How could it be so easy to gain something without anything? Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang's faces instantly darkened. Lu Ming, the other people in Darkwater City who have the map and key to the tomb, are all looking for experts to form an alliance with to increase their strength. The 2 of us are looking for you to cooperate because we think highly of you. But you're so arrogant. Lu Ming, don't think that just because you can kill Wan Tiancheng and Young Master of Blood Prison, you can be lawless and look down on others. If 2 or even 3 people like Young Master of Blood Prison join forces, are you still a match for them? Sima Liang said through gritted teeth. Lu Ming already told you to get lost. Why aren't you getting lost? Huang Ling berated. Good, very good. Then I'll watch as your key to the map is taken away. Zhao Kuang was furious. He unhappily left behind this sentence and left with Sima Liang. Lu Ming and Huang Ling looked at each other with a grave look in their eyes. Then, they returned to their rooms and began to cultivate crazily. However, it was too difficult for Lu Ming's main body to improve its strength in a short period of time. The Chaos Sky Turning Seal had just broken through, so it was almost impossible to cultivate it to the 6th level in a short time. It was the same for his cultivation base. Therefore, Lu Ming was constantly refining the demonic fiend crystals to improve his soul force. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. All of a sudden, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He beamed with joy and entered the mountain and river diagram. Ming Lian sat on a mountain with his legs crossed. The Taiji formation disk floated above his head and scattered down rays of light. The golden mental energy fire in between the clone's brows was dancing. Suddenly, the mental energy fire expanded and mental energy rings appeared on the clone's body. There were 10 light spots on the 9th golden spirit ring. This meant that he had finally lit up the 10th spirit lamp and reached the realm of perfection. This realm was equivalent to the first stage of half-saint in martial arts. The next step would be to comprehend the laws. All right, Lu Ming was overjoyed. The improvement of the second body would undoubtedly increase his combat strength. At this critical moment, it would be of great help to him. Then, the spirit ring disappeared, and the second body began to consolidate his cultivation. Lu Ming took over and left the mountain and river diagram to continue refining the demonic evil crystals. However, not long after, Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes and rushed out of the courtyard. That was because a few terrifying auras were pressing down on Phoenix Palace. Chapter 1632. 1632 Chapter 1632 4 against 2 Boom. 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 There were 4 terrifying auras in total. They rose like smoke and pressed toward the Phoenix Palace. Then 4 figures walked in the air. With every step they took, the sky would rumble, and a huge pressure pressed down on the Phoenix Palace. A figure flashed and Huang Ling appeared beside Lu Ming. Then the other disciples of Phoenix Palace rushed out. It's finally here. Huang Ling muttered, her eyes solemn. The heavens' favorites from the other cities are finally going to make a move. 4 people came at once. These 4 people were absolutely terrifying Heaven's Pride experts. Each of them was a Heaven's Pride expert on the level of the Blood Prison Young Master, and Wan Tiancheng. Without such combat strength, they would not dare to have any designs on Lu Ming and Huang Ling. 4 young men, 3 men and 1 woman, stood in a row in front of Huang Ling and Lu Ming. At this moment, the entire Darkwada city was alarmed. Countless people rose into the air and looked over. It's so terrifying. The 4 powerful cultivators are going to attack Lu Ming and Huang Ling. It's only a matter of time. The other geniuses are all looking for experts to form an alliance with. As for Lu Ming and Huang Ling, there's only 2 of them. Naturally, they'll be targeted. 4 against 2. Lu Ming and Feng Ling are most likely in danger. They can't keep the map and the key. The voices reverberated in the sky. Not far from the Phoenix Palace, Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang were also watching. Lu Ming, aren't you all very arrogant? This time, let's see how you can keep the map key. Zhao Kuang coldly laughed. Lu Ming and Feng Ling better be killed. Sima Liang's face was filled with viciousness. Huang Ling, Lu Ming, hand over the map and key to the tomb of the Reincarnation King. A young man said directly, if you want the map and key to the tomb of the Reincarnation King, let's see if you have the ability. Huang Ling said coldly, Huang Ling, although your undying celestial phoenix body has strong vitality, you don't stand a chance against the 2 of us. Lu Ming, I know you killed young Master Blood Prison some time ago, but are you still a match for the 2 of us? I'm warning you, don't make a mistake. A young man said coldly, you can try to see if you're a match for him. Lu Ming spoke in a very domineering manner. You're so stubborn. Since that's the case, attack. Die. A young man shouted as he stepped out and charged towards Feng Ling. At the same time, the only woman among the 4 of them also charged at Feng Ling. The remaining 2 people charged at Lu Ming. 2 against 1. The cry of a phoenix rang out, and a shadow of the undying phoenix rushed out of Huang Ling's body. A pair of phoenix wings extended from her back, and her whole body was bathed in the undying flames. The phoenix's wings flapped out, and like 2 divine swords, they slashed at the opponent, engaging in a great battle with the opponent. However, the moment they exchanged blows, Huang Ling was at a disadvantage. The 2 of them weren't any weaker than her, so she could only use her undying celestial phoenix body to hold on. As for Lu Ming, he had also engaged in a huge battle with the other party. A huge cauldron pressed down on Lu Ming, and at the same time, there was a terrifying flaming sword chi. The power of 2 terrifying heaven's favorites working together was too strong. Lu Ming's glabella glowed and Ming Lian stepped out. A Tai Chi formation disc floated above his head. A Tai Chi formation diagram appeared and pressed down on the young man, who had slashed out the flaming sword aura. Boom! The flaming sword chi was dispersed. Ming Lian waved his hand, and a phoenix's cry was heard. The phoenix feather flying sword flew out. This time, there was a total of 21 phoenix feather flying swords. They formed a sword array, and turned into a terrifying sword light, attacking the other party. Back in the Windy Plains, Lu Ming had obtained more than a dozen phoenix feathers. During this period of time, They had all been refined into phoenix feather flying swords by his Ming Lian clone. A total of 21 phoenix feather flying swords formed a sword formation, and its power was extremely shocking. Divine Sun Sword. The other party held a flaming sword and slashed out sword chi like the sun towards the second body. Lu Ming's main body glowed with light as he cast the 10,000 soldiers art. Holy weapons appeared one after another. He held a spear in one hand and a sword in the other. They bombarded the cauldron and sent it flying. 9 cauldrons suppressing the heavens. Lu Ming's opponent was a young man in a black robe. He had long hair and a mysterious aura. 9 cauldrons were floating around him. Lu Ming could not help but think of the Divine 9-Dragon Cauldron. The Divine 9-Dragon Cauldron also had 9 entities to suppress the dragon veins. The black-robed young man controlled the 9 cauldrons to press down on Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and cast the Divine Sword technique at his opponent. The black-robed youth's body trembled, and his attack slowed down. Lu Ming threw the spear and sword in his hands, and controlled the other holy weapons to fight against the 9 cauldrons. Clang! Clang! Without a doubt, the 9 cauldrons were all saint weapons. When the 9 cauldrons worked together, their power would be even more shocking. In the sky above the Phoenix Palace, the sound of metal clashing came out like the ringing of a bell. The other disciples of the Phoenix Palace could not interfere at all. Ordinary geniuses would be injured, or even killed by the overflowing chi if they got close. Chaos! Lu Ming muttered. A chaos sky-turning stamp appeared in each of his palms, and he threw it at the other party. The chaos sky-turning stamp was as big as a mountain. It pressed down as if it wanted to crush everything. The black-robed young man's pupils contracted rapidly. He summoned a few cauldrons and blasted them upwards. Boom! Boom! With 2 muffled booms, the opponent's cauldron was sent flying, and the black-robed young man retreated. At this moment, a pagoda appeared above Lu Ming's head. The bubble was inside. Bubble, help this second body, Lu Ming said, and the pagoda flew towards the battlefield of the second body of inscription. Kill, die! Lu Ming roared, and unleashed the divine sword technique. 2 more flipping sky seals appeared in his palms, and pressed down on the other party. The other party roared, and his body emitted a strange light, causing the 9 cauldrons to shake. Many of Lu Ming's saint weapons were knocked away, and he then fought against the flipping sky seal. The battle between the two was purely a fierce battle of strength. There was no technique involved. The flipping sky seal and the 9 cauldrons kept colliding with each other like mountains. They kept bombarding each other in the air, shaking the entire Darkwada city. Many of the weaker cultivators were forced to retreat. The sound waves from the collision were too powerful. However, with the help of Lu Ming's divine sword technique, the young man in black was slowly losing to Lu Ming. He was being suppressed by Lu Ming, and had to retreat after every collision. After more than 10 moves, the black-clothed youth had already retreated more than 10 miles. The 9 seals of the Gate of God. Lu Ming's hands suddenly formed a seal. 9 gates of sealing suddenly appeared in the air, emitting a brilliant light. Each of them was aimed at one of the cauldrons. Currently, Lu Ming had cultivated the 9 seals of the Gate of God to its peak. He could condense 9 sealing gates at once. The 9 gates were connected, and the sealing power was greatly enhanced. His opponent's 9 cauldrons were sealed in an instant. They stopped in the air and could not move. Chapter 1633. 1633 Chapter 1633 Defeating Top 4. How could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? He waved his hands and a huge chaos sky-turning seal was formed, suppressing the young man in black. The young man in black was shocked. He roared and his body burst into a shocking black light. He seemed to have turned into a large cauldron. He waved his hands and bombarded the chaos sky-turning seal. Boom! The young man in black's body was sent flying like a cannonball. He coughed up a mouthful of blood in the air, and many of the bone armor on his body broke like fried beans. 9 cauldrons combined into one. The young man in black roared, and the black light on his body became even more intense. The auras of the 9 cauldrons sealed by the Gate of Sealing grew stronger, and broke through the seal of the Gate of Sealing in one fell swoop. They flew towards the young man in black, and then combined into one. What a tenacious life force! Lu Ming muttered. This young man's combat strength was very shocking. It was as if he had nurtured a huge cauldron in the depths of his body. The power of laws was also very terrifying. His combat strength was even stronger than young Master Blood Prison's. Lu Ming was notorious for killing young Master of Blood Prison and injuring the assassins of Thousand Kills Mansion. Therefore, among the 4 people who came to deal with Lu Ming, he was undoubtedly the most powerful. The young man in black combined the 9 cauldrons into one and rushed into it. The aura of the cauldron became even more violent as it charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming grabbed the black dragon spear at the side and thrust it forward. Clang! The black dragon spear struck the cauldron and bent. Lu Ming was sent flying backward by a powerful and terrifying force. What powerful strength! Lu Ming's gaze was somewhat solemn. The other party's physique was obviously special. When combined with the cauldron, his entire person seemed to be a cauldron, and the 9 cauldrons seemed to be the fusion of 9 saint weapons. The power was amazing. Now that the black-clothed young man had merged with the cauldron, he was practically invincible. Lu Ming let go of the black dragon spear and allowed the 12 holy weapons to float around him as a form of defense. Lu Ming's essential core surged into the flowing essence gloves. At the same time, his 3rd blood meridian emerged, and a surge of energy surged into Lu Ming's body. Although the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had warned Lu Ming not to use his 3rd bloodline as much as possible, it should be fine for him to use it once in a while and borrow a small amount of power. The influx of the 3rd bloodline's energy made Lu Ming even more powerful. Dragon roars burst out from his body as he unleashed the prison-suppressing heavenly art and threw a punch. Clang! The fist landed on the cauldron, causing a terrifying shockwave. The sound waves spread out at a speed visible to the naked eye. Buzz! The cauldron trembled and was sent flying by Lu Ming. But Lu Ming's body also retreated. Again, Lu Ming stepped forward and threw another punch. The cauldron shook and continued to crash toward Lu Ming. Clang! 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 Then the 2 of them continued to collide and exchanged dozens of blows. At this moment, the inscription clone and the bubbles worked together to suppress the opponent. The second body was refined with the Tai Chi formation disc as the main, turning into the yin-yang fish sword, which had amazing destructive power. At the same time, the various arrays and phoenix feather flying swords were also extremely profound. With the help of the bubble space-time domain, although the opponent was strong, he was restrained in the battle and completely suppressed by the Minglian clone. Whoosh! The yin-yang fish sword slashed out, almost cutting the other party into 2, leaving a deep wound that was bleeding. That Lu Ming! How can he have such strong combat abilities? You should die. Zhao Kuang, who was watching the battle from afar, let out a low roar. Even Xia Ding was unable to do anything to him. Sima Liang also said in disbelief. Xia Ding was the black-robed young man who controlled the 9 cauldrons. Lu Ming's combat strength was beyond his imagination. One person could actually split into 2, and each of them had terrifying combat strength. At their level, Xia Ding was an extremely terrifying heaven's favorite. None of them were his match. However, Lu Ming alone was able to fight him, and the other Lu Ming was able to completely suppress him. Fortunately, Huang Ling is about to be defeated. As long as Huang Ling is defeated, the 2 of them will join forces to fight Lu Ming. No matter how strong he is, he will still be defeated. Sima Liang continued. At this moment, Huang Ling was indeed in danger. Her entire body seemed to have turned into a blazing phoenix. Flames filled the sky as she unleashed her strength to the extreme. However, she was no match for 2 powerful enemies of the same level. She was injured in many places. If it wasn't for her undying celestial phoenix body, she would have been seriously injured long ago. Even so, if this continued, she would only be defeated. I have the undying celestial phoenix body. The undying celestial phoenix. I'm one of the top 10 battle beasts. How can I lose? The phoenix spirit let out a long cry like a phoenix. Her eyes were filled with madness, and the flames on her body became even more terrifying as she fought with her opponent. Bang! Her body had been pierced through, leaving a huge hole in it. However, she didn't care about it. The undying flames spread out, and the huge hole automatically healed. She killed madly, not caring about her own injuries, not caring about defense, only focusing on attacking. At this moment, Ming Lian's second body followed up with another attack. Together with the bubbles, they unleashed a terrifying technique. Whoosh! His chest was pierced by the yin-yang fish sword, and the terrifying destructive power kept destroying his spirit body, causing him to cough up blood. "Quickly come and help me," the man roared. "Hold on a little longer." One of the prodigies who was fighting against the Phoenix Spirit said. They wanted to defeat the Phoenix Spirit in one fell swoop, and then deal with Lu Ming. However, the Phoenix Spirit undying heavenly phoenix body wasn't just for show. The other party couldn't take down Bai Lin at all. Damn it! The Heaven's favorites who were heavily injured didn't dare to continue fighting and retreated. The four of them came from different forces. They decided to work together to fight for the map and key of the tomb of the Samsara King. But now his life was in danger. How could he fight to the death? Buzz! He took a few steps back and left. Damn it! The others roared. Kill! Ming Lian's second body rushed toward Huang Ling's battlefield, and the yin-yang fish sword slashed at one of the beautiful women. Huang Ling's pressure was greatly reduced. She launched a violent attack on one of them, and was actually at a disadvantage. At this moment, Lu Ming's main body had already exchanged dozens of blows with Xia Ding. Clang! Another earth-shattering boom rang out as the cauldron trembled violently and retreated. Xia Ding's figure then fell out from within. He had to pay a huge price to use this move. Now he could not hold on any longer. Let's forget about it this time, let's go. Xia Ding roared as he took the cauldron and retreated, disappearing in the blink of an eye. When the remaining two saw this, they knew that they had lost the battle. They charged forward with all their might. After paying a price, they also charged out and disappeared. The four powerful cultivators were defeated by Lu Ming and Huang Ling. The surrounding spectators gasped in shock. Chapter 1634. 1634 Chapter 1634 Taotai Lu Ming and Huang Ling could defeat four supreme talents. Such combat strength was already extremely terrifying. As for Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang, they were even more dumbfounded. Xia Ding's group of four had come with a menacing aura, but in the end, they were defeated by Lu Ming and his junior brother, and retreated in a sorry state. This was something that they had never dreamed of. They both had low-tier heaven spiritual bodies. So how could there be such a huge difference in combat strength? Not good. At this moment Lu Ming's expression changed. Boom! In the sky, a huge claw grabbed towards Feng Ling. The claw was covered in scales. It was extremely ferocious, and emitted terrifying fluctuations. Ming Lian's second body was the closest to Huang Ling. He immediately controlled the Tai Chi disc array, and the two yin-yang fish swords slashed at the huge claw. Buzz! Buzz! The yin-yang fish sword hit the claw and sparks flew. Then it was sent flying. Within the pagoda, bubbles made a move. The void rippled, forming a terrifying spatial blade that slashed towards the claw. As for Huang Ling, she made her move as well. Flames filled the sky as a flaming phoenix flew out towards the claw. Boom! Boom! The space blade shattered, and the flaming phoenix was destroyed. Huang Ling's figure was pushed back, and blood flowed out of her mouth. Primal Chaos Sky-Turning Seal. At this time, Lu Ming's main body also made a move. He condensed a huge Chaos Sky-Turning stamp and blasted it at the huge claw. Boom! The Chaos Sky-Turning Seal struck the claw, and was immediately shattered. However, the claw was finally blocked. It rapidly shrank, and was retracted from the sky. So strong! Lu Ming's eyes were extremely solemn. Someone else has made a move. Who is it? Lu Ming and Huang Ling just had a huge battle, and he's making a move now. The hearts of many people in the surroundings trembled as they looked up into the sky. Roar! With a loud roar, the wind and clouds changed, and a huge creature slowly appeared in the sky. Many people's pupils contracted. Tao Dai! Lu Ming slowly spat out two words. The huge creature that appeared in the sky was a Taotai. The Taotai was also a type of divine beast that was incomparably powerful. It was said that in ancient times, the Taotai could swallow the sun and moon in the sky when it opened its mouth. It was truly terrifying. The Taotai's eyes were like two small suns as it stared at Lu Ming and Huang Ling. Its cold and harsh voice rang out. Hand over the map and key of the tomb of the Reincarnation King, and I will spare your lives. Obviously, Taotai's goal was the same as Xia Ding and the others. He wanted the map and key of the tomb of the Reincarnation King. Does the Taotai tribe only know how to take advantage of the situation? Huang Ling said coldly. Nonsense, if you don't hand it over you'll die. The Taotai spoke coldly as it stepped into the air, causing the sky to rumble. On Huang Ling's body, the immortal fire burned fiercely. She stared at Taotai with a determined expression. Her meaning was self-evident. Lu Ming's main body and secondary body stood together and stared at the Taotai. Kill! The Taotai roared and leaped towards Lu Ming and Huang Ling. It clawed at them, and a terrifying howl rang out between heaven and earth as it clawed at them. Above Ming Lian's head, the Tai Chi formation disc glowed with a brilliant light. A Tai Chi diagram pressed down on Taotai. Bang! The Taotai's claw landed on the Tai Chi pattern, and the Tai Chi pattern was sent flying. Whoosh! Lu Ming cast the 10,000 soldiers art, and thrust the black dragon spear at the Taotai's vital point. However, the Taotai's other claw struck out, and slapped on the long spear. Lu Ming felt an extremely powerful force surging towards him, and his body was directly blown away. His chi and blood churned, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What terrifying strength! Lu Ming was shocked. He stabbed the Taotai's claw with his spear, but only left a shallow mark. It didn't even pierce through the scales. This Taotai was definitely at the same level as the 10th Golden Crow Prince. Its body was equivalent to a low-tier celestial spiritual body, and its cultivation had reached the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm, which was the realm where the laws could be infused into its body. The body of a divine beast with a heaven spiritual body was already extremely terrifying. In addition, the laws had infused into it, making the body even stronger. Even Lu Ming's 10,000 soldier scroll could not break it. The cry of a phoenix was heard. The phoenix spirit made a move, but it was useless. She was sent flying by the Taotai's palm. The 9 seals of the Gate of God. Lu Ming growled and quickly formed a seal with both hands. 9 gates of sealing were formed and pressed down on the Taotai, trying to seal it. At the same time, Bubbles made a move and cast the space-time domain to seal the Taotai. Buzz! The Tai Chi disc array above his head shook again, and the Tai Chi yin-yang fish pattern appeared again. But this time, it turned into the yin-yang fish sword. 2 terrifying sword lights, one black and one white, slashed toward the Taotai. Roar! The Taotai let out a heaven-shaking roar. Its body glowed, and its 2 claws struck out continuously, hitting the door of seal. Bang! 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 The 9 gates of sealing shook violently before shattering one by one. Then, 2 terrifying light beams shot out from the Taotai's eyes, and broke free from the Bubbles space-time domain. However, the Tai Chi yin-yang fish sword had already arrived. Buzz! Buzz! The yin-yang fish sword slashed at the Taotai's body, causing sparks to fly everywhere, and making an ear-piercing sound. However, in the end, it cut through the Taotai's scales and left 2 deep sword marks on it, causing blood to flow out. Boom! Above the Taotai's head, a huge chaos sky-turning stamp appeared and pressed down on the Taotai. Ah, die, all of you go to hell. The Taotai was injured by the yin-yang fish sword, and was completely enraged. Laws surrounded its body and it rushed out, bombarding the chaos sky-turning seal. Boom! The chaos heaven-turning stamp gave off a terrible vibration, then cracked and finally shattered. With a screech, Huang Ling attacked. A combat sword condensed from the undying flame slashed at Taotai's wound. It immediately burned, and emitted the fragrance of roasted meat. The unperishable flame could keep one alive when used on oneself, but it could kill others when used on them. Damn it, kill! The Taotai roared in anger and opened its mouth. Instantly, a terrifying devouring force burst out and enveloped Lu Ming's body and the phoenix spirit, wanting to swallow them and refine them. Devouring power, I also know it. Lu Ming growled and clenched his fist. The devouring power burst out, and immediately offset the other party's devouring power. The devouring power of the 9 dragons, the Taotai roared. However, although Lu Ming had cancelled out the devouring power, and stopped the main body and the secondary body, the phoenix spirit could not cancel out the devouring power and flew directly into the Taotai's mouth. In the blink of an eye, it was approaching Taotai. Die! The Taotai growled and spat out a beam of light, which enveloped Huang Ling. The phoenix spirit let out a long cry and continued to attack. She wanted to rush out of the light beam, but she could not do so. The light beam contained a terrifying destructive and refining power, which was constantly refining the phoenix spirit. Buzz! Buzz! Lu Ming's main body and the second body moved at the same time. They charged towards the Taotai in an attempt to save Huang Ling. However, two terrifying beams of light shot out from the Taotai's eyes, forcing Lu Ming's main body and his secondary body to retreat at the same time. Chapter 1635. 1635 Phoenix Spirit's breakthrough. This Taotai was too powerful, and it chose the right time to attack. It chose to attack when Lu Ming and Huang Ling were exhausted after a huge battle with Xia Ding and the other four experts. At this moment, Lu Ming and Huang Ling were no longer at their peak. Put it out, Huang Ling. Even if you have the unperishable flame, it'll put it out and refine you. The Taotai's voice rang out, and the light beam from its mouth became even stronger. Within the beam of light, the cry of a phoenix could be heard as the unperishable flame of the phoenix spirit was being refined. Chaos! Lu Ming roared and exerted all his strength. A huge chaos sky-turning seal was formed and pressed toward the Taotai. At the same time, his second body also controlled the Tai Chi disc array with all its might. Two more yin-yang fish swords appeared and slashed toward the Taotai. Two beams of light shot out from the Taotai's eyes again, bombarding the yin-yang fish sword and blocking it. However, he couldn't block the primal chaos sky-turning stamp, and it smashed heavily on the Taotai's body. The Taotai gave a muffled groan as its body trembled. It actually managed to resist the chaos sky-turning seal. However, it was obvious that the Taotai was not in a good state either. A part of its back had caved in, and that part of its spine had been broken by the chaos sky-turning seal. Two streams of blood gushed out of the two wounds caused by the yin-yang fish sword. Roar! Damn it! You should die, brat. When I refine the phoenix spirit, it will be the day of your death. The Taotai let out an angry roar. Today, he had been injured by Lu Ming time and time again. Although it was not a fatal injury, it was a great insult to him. He was a dignified existence at the third stage of the half-saint realm. Yet, he had been injured by Lu Ming time and time again. He could not be forgiven. This Taotai's physical body is really abnormal. Lu Ming felt a little helpless. If an expert at the second stage of the half-saint realm were to be hit by Lu Ming's chaos sky-turning seal, he would probably be crushed to death. However, Taotai only suffered minor injuries. At this moment, Huang Ling's unperishable flame was getting weaker and weaker, as if it was going to be refined at any time. What do we do? Lu Ming's brows furrowed deeply. After a series of battles, the vital essence in his body was almost depleted. It was difficult for him to use the chaos sky-turning seal again with all his strength. Even if he did, the chaos sky-turning seal might not be useful. Lu Ming started to feel anxious. His cultivation was still too low. He was only at the 9th level of the martial royal realm. If his cultivation could reach the first stage of the half-saint realm and comprehend the ultimate chaotic domain, his power would definitely increase dramatically. At that time, he could at least severely injure the Taotai with the chaos sky-turning stamp. However, his current cultivation was only at the peak of the 9th level martial royal realm. It was impossible for him to rush to the half-saint realm. It was a huge barrier between the 9th level martial royal realm and the half-saint realm. It was not easy to break through. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming and Huang Ling are finally going to be defeated and killed by the Taotai. Not far away, Zhao Kuang laughed maniacally. He was overjoyed to see that Lu Ming and Huang Ling were about to be defeated. They can't be Taotai's match. The outcome is already decided, Sima Liang also said coldly. Around him, the others also shook their heads and sighed. The Taotai was a heaven's favorite on the same level as the 10th Golden Crow Prince. Among the heaven's favorites who entered the 100-clan battlefield, people at this level stood at the very top. It was impossible for Huang Ling and Lu Ming to stand a chance. Moreover, They had just fought a great battle. It was even more impossible for them to be a match for the Taotai. Buzz! At this moment, the cry of a phoenix resounded through the world. Huang Ling, who was already extremely weak, suddenly became more powerful, and the unperishable flame started to burn. Huang Ling had almost transformed into an undying phoenix. She spread her wings and flew high, breaking out of the Taotai's light beam. Her wings were like blades as she slashed at the Taotai. The Taotai roared and struck out with its claws. Boom! Boom! With two loud bangs, Phoenix Spirit and Taotai retreated. You've broken through the nomological tank. The Taotai roared. Kill! The Phoenix Spirit roared as she spread her wings and charged towards Taotai. I'd like to see how powerful the law of unperishable flame is. The Taotai roared and charged towards Huang Ling. Boom! Boom! In the sky, it was as if a phoenix and a Taotai were fighting fiercely. For a moment, it was difficult to determine the winner. He actually broke through. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. At the critical moment of life and death, Huang Ling had broken through her limit and reached the third stage of half-saint, the stage where laws could be infused into her body. After reaching the third stage, the Phoenix Spirit's combat strength had increased greatly. She was now on the same level as the Taotai and was not afraid of him. As expected of the undying heavenly phoenix body, one of the top 10 battle beasts, Lu Ming sighed. He realized that the Phoenix Spirit had the same characteristics as him. In times of danger, it was easier to stimulate one's potential and break through one's limits to achieve a leap. Damn it, how did this happen? Detestable. Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang had been very happy just a moment ago, but now their faces were extremely gloomy. The battle between the Phoenix Spirit and the Taotai was extremely intense. Lu Ming did not interfere. In the blink of an eye, the two sides had exchanged hundreds of moves, and there was still no clear winner. Huang Ling, I'll spare you today. We'll fight another day. In the end, Taotai turned around and left after leaving behind some harsh words. He knew that now that Huang Ling had broken through, it was impossible for him to snatch Huang Ling's and Lu Ming's map key. He could only retreat. Huang Ling didn't pursue him. She wasn't confident that she could keep Taotai here. If they continued to fight, both sides would suffer, and someone else would benefit from it. The unperishable flame was extinguished, and the Phoenix Spirit returned to its original form. You guys get lost. Huang Ling's gaze swept the surroundings, especially towards Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang. Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang's expressions changed as they turned to leave. The others did the same. They turned and left. Now that Huang Ling had broken through and entered the third stage of the half-saint realm, it would not be too difficult for her to kill ordinary geniuses. In the blink of an eye, the surrounding spectators had all dispersed. Congratulations on your breakthrough, Emperor Spirit. Lu Ming walked towards Huang Ling and smiled. Huang Ling's breakthrough had made him feel much more relaxed. With Huang Ling's breakthrough and his performance today, he believed that no one would dare to target them in the future. Lu Ming, I have to thank you. If you hadn't restrained the Taotai, I might not have had the chance to break through, said Huang Ling previously. Lu Ming had continuously attacked the Taotai and injured it. This had distracted the Taotai more or less. Otherwise, it would have refined her before she could break through. If one wanted to stimulate one's potential and break through one's limits in a crisis, they would often be accompanied by danger. A single mistake could lead to death. Then, she ordered the people of the Phoenix Palace to clean up the palace. After all, the battle just now had made the Phoenix Palace a mess. Lu Ming and Huang Ling returned to their respective rooms. Huang Ling had just made a breakthrough and needed to consolidate her cultivation. As for Lu Ming, he needed to recover. After this battle, Lu Ming and Huang Ling's reputation had spread far and wide. Indeed, no one had any designs on them after that. However, the battle in Dark Water City was even more intense. There would often be great battles. Chapter 1636. 1636. The Undying Mountain in the Dark Water City. All the supreme talents formed alliances with each other, and formed forces with the key of the tomb of the Samsara King as the center. After more than 10 days, the situation slowly stabilized. At this moment, The 10th prince of the Golden Crow sent a message to Lu Ming and Huang Ling, telling them that the key and map of the tomb of the Samsara King were ready. He invited them to meet at the Golden Crow Palace, merge with the map, and head to the tomb of the Samsara King. Is everyone finally here? Lu Ming ended his cultivation, and a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. Together with Huang Ling, they flew towards the Golden Crow Palace. Those who have the key and map of the tomb of the Samsara King are all gathered at the Golden Crow Palace. Let's go and take a look. In Darkwater City, many people flew towards the Golden Crow Palace. Very quickly, Lu Ming and Huang Ling arrived at the Golden Crow Palace. This time, they did not meet at the square. As soon as Lu Ming and Huang Ling arrived, the members of the Golden Crow race welcomed them to a courtyard inside the Golden Crow Palace. Those heaven's favorites without a map or key could only wait outside the Golden Crow Palace. When Lu Ming and Huang Ling arrived, they realized that many people had already arrived. Yi Dongfang was standing alone with his hands behind his back. There was also a young man in a yellow robe. He had taken the map and the key from another man. He was also a heaven's favorite on the same level as Yi Dongfang, the 10th Golden Crow Prince. In addition, there were a few other people with unfathomable auras. They were also heaven's favorites on the same level as the Golden Crow's 10th prince. He didn't see them last time, so they were obviously from the other cities. In addition, there were a few groups with more people. The smallest group had 4 or 5 people together, while the largest group had 7 or 8 people. Lu Ming even saw Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang among the group of people. These people were all at the same level as young Master Blood Prison, so they formed an alliance of 4 to 5 people. They controlled the key and map of King Samsara's tomb together. Following that, a few more groups of people arrived. Each group had more than 4 to 5 people. There were 7 people in one group, and Lu Ming recognized a few of them. They were none other than Xia Ding, and the other 3 who had tried to snatch Lu Ming and Huang Ling away. Xia Ding and the other 3 looked at Lu Ming and Huang Ling with fear in their eyes. There were 6 people in the other group as well. One of them was wearing black scaled armor. He glared at Lu Ming coldly, his killing intent flashing continuously. Tao Tai. Lu Ming could tell from the aura that the young man in the scaled armor was the Tao Tai. It seemed that Tao Tai had found a group of people to cooperate with and was going to enter the tomb of the Samsara King together. Alright, the 10 sets of keys and maps are all here. But before I gather the maps, I have to make one point clear. Whoever has the map and the keys can bring anyone with them, but we have to decide on the candidates now. We can't add any more people when we set off later. Brother Yi, Brother Sure, Holy Phoenix Spirit, do you have any objections? The Golden Crow 10th Crown Prince said. However, his eyes were on Yi Dongfang, Huang Ling, the yellow-robed youth, the Tao Tai, and other beings of the same level as him. Let's do this. I have no objections. Yi Dongfang, the yellow-robed young man, and the others all nodded. The others didn't say anything. The people they were supposed to set off with had all arrived. This group of people were the top heaven's favorites. Every one of them had a heaven spiritual body. As for those with earth spiritual bodies, they would not be of much use. Even if one's earth spiritual body had reached the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm, they would not be a match for anyone here. Alright, in that case take out the map now, the Golden Crow 10th Crown Prince said. He first took out 2 jade talismans and inserted his true yuan. The jade talismans lit up and 2 maps appeared in the air. Following that, the others took out their jade talismans and channeled their essential core into them. Lu Ming did the same. Map after map appeared in the air and pieced together. A total of 10 regions were pieced together to form a complete map. At this moment, the map emitted a bright light. On the map, a bright spot of light appeared. That's where the tomb of the Reincarnation King is. Many people's eyes lit up as they quickly memorized the map. This is the north of the 100-tribe battlefield, where Mount Immortal is. Yi Dongfang said. I didn't expect it to be there. Let's go. The Golden Crow 10th Prince said. Then, they put away their jade talismans and rose into the air, flying north. They're out. They must know the location of the tomb of the Reincarnation King. There were many people waiting outside the Golden Crow Palace. When they saw Lu Ming and the group coming out, there was a commotion. Let's go and follow them. Maybe we can enter the tomb of the reincarnation king and get some good fortune. Yes, follow them. A large group of people rose into the air and followed behind Lu Ming and the group. Those who don't have the key and map of the tomb of the reincarnation king get lost or die. The eyes of the 10th Golden Crow Prince shone with a golden light as he scanned the surroundings. At the same time, Yi Dongfang, Tao Tai, and the others also looked around with unfriendly eyes. You guys are too overbearing. We are free to go wherever we want to go. Do you want to interfere with where we go? Right, you guys go your way, we'll go our way. We'll have nothing to do with each other. Someone among those people shouted, "Stubborn! Kill!" The 10th Golden Crow Prince suddenly let out a loud cry. His body was covered in terrifying solar fire as he turned into a golden light and rushed out. The Golden Crow 10th Prince's hand transformed into the Golden Crow's claws, and the sky was filled with claw shadows. No one could withstand a single strike. As long as they were caught by the claw shadows, they would be enveloped by golden flames and turned into ashes in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen young men were killed, both in body and soul. The others were all shocked and quickly backed away. They looked at the 10th Golden Crow Prince with fear in their eyes. If you continue to follow, kill without mercy. The 10th Golden Crow Prince said coldly. This time, no one dared to follow them. Although there were many of them, their combat strength was far inferior to the 10th Golden Crow Prince's. Once they made a move, they would only be slaughtered. Moreover, there were still many more experts who had yet to make a move. Once they did, they would really be slaughtered. Although they were unwilling, they could only watch helplessly as Lu Ming and the rest left. Who asked them to be weak? In the world of martial Tao, the strong preyed on the weak. Without strength, opportunities were placed in front of them, and they were powerless to take them. Lu Ming and the group headed north. Following the instructions on the map, they flew for 2 days and arrived at a land of dead silence. This was a wasteland, and as far as the eye could see, the wasteland was covered with white bones. However, these white bones had been eroded by the wind and had no spirituality. The entire wasteland was filled with a faint aura of death. It was obvious that this place had been a battlefield in the past. In front of the wasteland there was a majestic mountain. It was particularly eye-catching in the flat wasteland. According to the map, the target was that mountain. Chapter 1637. 1637 Chapter 1637 Emergence of the Emperor's Tomb. Buzz and MBSB whoosh. They flew towards the mountain. Whoosh. All of a sudden, a blade light cut through the void and slashed at one of the elites. Boom. The heaven's favorite struck out with his palm and destroyed the saber light. However, the next moment, the ground of the dead silent wasteland burst open, and figures rushed out from the ground and stood in front of them. These figures were of all sorts. Some were in the form of demonic beasts, while others were in the form of humans. Some of them were wearing armor and holding swords and sabers, but they had one thing in common, which was that their bodies were filled with a strong aura of death. It's the undead. Someone said, Kill these humans." An undead, who was wearing armor and holding a sword, waved his sword like a dark warrior and gave orders. Roar. Kill. A large number of undead rushed towards Lu Ming and the rest. There were at least 1,000 of them, and they were all at the 7th level martial emperor realm or above. All sorts of attacks were launched at Lu Ming and the rest. Kill. The 10th Golden Crow Prince transformed into a 3-legged golden crow. The fire of the sun burned fiercely. As he rushed past, a dozen undead were turned into ashes in the flames. Wild Thunder Yi Dongfang clenched his fist in the air, and the sky was filled with lightning. Every lightning bolt that swept across would kill an undead. The Tao Tai returned to its original form and roared. A beam of destructive light shot out of its mouth, and a large number of undead were destroyed. When such a paragon attacked, it was earth-shattering and shocking. Large numbers of undead were annihilated. At the same time, the others attacked one after another. All kinds of attacks were launched, killing the undead one by one. However, there were too many undead, and they kept rushing out from the ground. Moreover, he was getting stronger and stronger. Roar. A giant white bone took the shape of a tiger. With a loud roar, the space trembled as it pounced towards the 10th Golden Crow Prince. The white-boned tiger exuded the aura of the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm. It was extremely powerful. However, he was still defeated by the 10th Golden Crow Prince in one move. In a battle of the same level, a heavenly spiritual body could easily kill other non-heavenly spiritual bodies in seconds. Undead kept rushing out from the ground. Many of them were at the half-saint level, but they still couldn't stop them. They kept pushing toward the majestic mountain. Lu Ming punched out continuously. The force of his fist crossed the void and killed 2 undead at the 2nd stage of the half-saint realm. Boom! Right at this moment, an extremely terrifying aura burst forth from the ground. A figure wearing ancient battle armor and holding a long spear appeared in the sky. Saint Realm Undead. Many people's expressions changed. This undead wearing ancient armor and holding a spear was a Saint Realm Undead, and terrifying saintly might emanated from his body. So what if you're a saint? They'll still be beheaded. The 10th Golden Crow Prince spoke in an extremely domineering manner. With their combat strength, they were not afraid of ordinary Saint Realm cultivators. However, the Saint Undead did not attack. Instead, he glanced at Lu Ming and the others coldly and said in a shriveled voice, "Retreat." Then, the undead that had been attacking crazily retreated like a tide. They sank into the ground and disappeared. His Saint Undead also sank into the ground and disappeared. He retreated? Someone was stunned. A Saint Realm expert will only be killed if he doesn't retreat. Naturally, he has to retreat. The 10th Golden Crow Prince spoke with great confidence. The group continued forward. Following that, there were no accidents and no one stopped them. They arrived in front of the mountain. The mountain was pitch black and surrounded by a deathly aura. Not a blade of grass grew on it. Is this the tomb of the Reincarnation King? I've been here before, but I didn't find anything unusual. Yi Dongfang frowned. This mountain looked like an ordinary mountain. There was nothing unusual about it, and there was no entrance. After that, they flew around the mountain, but did not find any entrance. Everyone frowned. Was the tomb of the Reincarnation King fake? Let's take a look at the key to the tomb of the Reincarnation King. What do you think? Someone suggested. All right. The others nodded and took out the key to the tomb of the Reincarnation King. Buzz. When everyone took out their keys, a shocking scene appeared. The 10 keys trembled and emitted a brilliant radiance. They left everyone's hands and continued to fly towards the mountain. Then, they floated on the top of the mountain and rapidly grew in size. Each of them was 100,000 feet in size. Then, the 10 keys actually fused together and turned into a heaven-raising halberd. Boom! The mighty heaven battle halberd was swung down at the mountain. Boom! 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 As the halberd struck down, the towering mountain split into 2, revealing a deep valley in the middle, like a passage. The halberd flew into the depths of the canyon and disappeared. Is this the passage to the tomb of the Reincarnation King? Some people's eyes lit up. It must be. Haha, the tomb of the Reincarnation King has finally appeared. Some people laughed. However, the next moment, the scene suddenly became silent. Everyone's figures flashed, and they pulled away from the others, revealing a guarded look. Now that the tomb of the Reincarnation King had appeared, they would become competitors. Naturally, they had to be wary of each other. Hee. The Golden Crow 10th Prince laughed coldly and took to the air, flying toward the valley. Let's go. The others quickly flew toward the canyon. However, when they reached the canyon, their eyes narrowed. The towering mountain was split in half. Logically speaking, the opposite side of the canyon was also the other side of the mountain. However, in reality it was not. In the depths of the canyon, there was a passageway that directly passed through space and led to an unknown place. Everyone came to the entrance of the tunnel, and the 10th Golden Crow Prince was still the first to step in. When he stepped in, his expression changed slightly, but he continued walking forward. The others also entered the tunnel. What a heavy pressure. There's a no-fly zone here, so it's hard to fly. As soon as they entered the passage, someone said solemnly. Lu Ming and Huang Ling also stepped into the passage. Instantly, they felt a strong pressure on their bodies. This pressure was as heavy as a mountain. It was impossible to fly here, and one could only move forward step by step. Everyone was on guard against each other as they walked forward step by step. It was as if they had stepped into a spatial passageway, and their surroundings were a vast expanse of white. They had no idea where they were. They walked forward step by step. However, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours had passed, and they were still in the passage. Looking ahead, the passage seemed to have no end. How can it be so long? When will we reach the end? Is there really the tomb of the Reincarnation King ahead? No matter what, I'm going to walk to the end. The group continued to move forward. Chapter 1638. 1638. The endless tombs. Time slowly passed. 1 hour after another. They had walked for a full day, but they were still in the passage. It was as if the passage really had no end. But at this point, no one would give up. Everyone continued to move forward. Very quickly, 10 days had passed, and they were still moving forward in the passageway. At this time, many people frowned. No matter how patient they were, they couldn't help but feel a little anxious. Was this passage really leading to the tomb of the Reincarnation King? However, since they had already come this far, it was impossible for them to retreat. They could only continue forward. Soon another 5 days passed. I can see the end. Suddenly, someone shouted in excitement. In front of them, the passage was finally about to end. From a distance, it seemed to be a land of darkness. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They had walked for half a month in a passageway with nothing. The key was that they had no idea how long they had to walk. This was a test of their patience. Fortunately, they were all peerless geniuses who had dared to come to the 100-clan battlefield to temper themselves. They were outstanding in all aspects, and they naturally didn't lack patience. That was why they had been able to persevere until now. Let's go! Immediately, everyone's spirits were lifted. They began to speed up and rush forward, afraid that if they were one step slower than others, the opportunity would be taken by others. Lu Ming and Huang Ling also sped up. Very soon, they rushed out of the passage and stepped into a land of darkness. As soon as they rushed out of the tunnel, they felt their bodies lighten. The pressure disappeared, and they regained their ability to fly. However, after everyone rushed out of the tunnel, they all stood in the air and looked ahead in shock. A grave. What entered their eyes were all tombs. They were densely packed, and they didn't know how many there were. At a glance, it was boundless. These tombs were of different sizes. Some of them were just mounds, while others were as large as mountains. How could this be? Why are there so many tombs here? Isn't it the tomb of the Reincarnation King? Someone asked doubtfully. There were so many tombs. Could it be that the tomb of the Reincarnation King was among them, and he had to search for it one by one? These tombs might also bury important figures and have treasures. Someone murmured, causing everyone's eyes to light up. That's right. Those who could be buried here probably didn't have small origins. There might be treasures here. Then with so many here, wouldn't he be rich? Buzz! Buzz! And NBSB whoosh! Instantly they moved. One figure after another scuttled out and rushed toward the tombs. They were searching for their target. Each of them found a tomb and rushed over. Be careful. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Huang Ling. He had a feeling that things were not as simple as they seemed. The two of them carefully moved forward and flew into the area of the grave. However, just as they were approaching the graves closest to them began to glow. Then figures emerged from the graves. Kill! Kill! There were men and women, young and old among these figures. Many of them were not even human, but they all roared and charged at Lu Ming and the others. The terrifying power was shocking. One of the heaven's favorites was not careful, and was pierced by the spear. If he did not retreat quickly, he would have died. Whoosh! A terrifying sword light shot towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming threw a punch, and it collided with the sword light. With a clang, the sword light was sent flying, and Lu Ming felt his fist go numb. What a terrifying attack! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Kill, kill, kill! The figure that emerged from the grave roared continuously and charged towards them. These figures were not corporeal and looked like phantoms. The Golden Crow 10th Prince was attacked by a giant bull. he transformed into his true form and fought with the giant bull. His battle power was shocking, and he tore the giant bull into pieces in one move. But the shocking thing was that the giant bull didn't die. It reformed and attacked the Golden Crow 10th Prince. The others were in the same situation. Even if they destroyed the phantoms, they would reform. Whoosh! Whoosh! The one who attacked Lu Ming was an illusory human figure that looked like an old man. The sword light that was constantly released was extremely mysterious and enveloped Lu Ming's entire body. Lu Ming cast the 10,000 soldiers art. He held the black dragon spear and thrust out Cui Zhang's spear radiance, which collided with the sword radiance. After exchanging dozens of blows, Lu Ming's spear shattered the figure. However, the figure immediately condensed again. These are formed from the immortal fighting spirit of the experts after their death. They are undying. There must be peerless experts buried under these tombs. Someone said, "I'll break it and see." Zhao Kuang let out a furious roar and forced the figure that was attacking him to retreat. He then attacked a large tomb at the side. Boom! The terrifying attack landed on the tomb, but the tomb didn't move at all. It wasn't damaged at all. However, at this moment a shocking scene appeared. Beams of light shot out from the tomb and directly wrapped around Zhao Kuang. Zhao Kuang struggled madly, but it was useless. Then with a bang, one of his arms exploded. "Ah, help me!" Zhao Kuang cried out in fear. However, before he could finish his sentence, his entire body exploded with a bang. Blood splattered on the large tomb, and his body and soul were destroyed. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The crowd gasped. A powerful heaven's favorite had died just like that, because he had attacked the tomb. These tombs all have terrifying nomological powers. As long as you attack the tombs, you will be attacked by the nomological powers. Yi Dongfang said with a serious face. That's right. The laws of this tomb are invincible. Once you're entangled, you'll die. Someone else said. Many people felt a lingering fear. It was a good thing that Zhao Kuang had attacked the tomb first, otherwise, they would have been the ones to die. This was especially true for Sima Liang. He had been with Zhao Kuang the entire time, and had almost attacked just now. However, Zhao Kuang had been a step faster than him. When he saw the abnormality in the tomb, he had stopped his attack and avoided the disaster. It seemed like they couldn't attack this tomb at all. If they did, they would die. Perhaps, only the tomb of the reincarnation emperor could be opened? Everyone thought to themselves. Then, they began to search for the tomb of the reincarnation emperor, while fending off the attacks of the shadows. However, they couldn't find the tomb of the reincarnation king, after searching for a long time. And if this continued, it would be very disadvantageous for them, as their true chi would be completely consumed. There is a path ahead. Keep going forward. Maybe the tomb of the reincarnation king is right in front of that path. Jiang Chun said. Someone said. Many people nodded. They had all seen that path. However, on both sides of the road, there were two particularly huge tombs, far above the other tombs. This made many people pay attention and not rashly go up. If you guys don't go, I'll go. The Taotai opened its mouth and rushed towards the path. Buzz! Buzz! The two particularly large tombs lit up, and two figures appeared. A true dragon and a phoenix emitted a terrifying aura. Moreover, these two figures were much more solid than the other illusory figures. Chapter 1639. 1639 The Netherworld, helplessly Meng Peror. The shadow of the true dragon roared and pounced at the Taotai. Its huge dragon claw smashed down at the Taotai. The Taotai roared and transformed into its true form. It also struck out with its claw. However, the result was that the Taotai's body shook violently and was directly sent flying by the true dragon's illusory figure. It retreated a dozen steps and spat out a mouthful of blood. The Taotai was injured by the true dragon's shadow in one move. It was shocking. The Taotai's combat strength was definitely at the peak among them. If it used its full power, it could definitely fight against a Saint Realm expert. However, it was no match for him, and was injured in one move. Buzz! The phoenix screeched and pounced towards the Taotai, scaring the Taotai into retreating, not daring to fight. The true dragon and phoenix shadows flew above their respective tombs, But they didn't pursue. It's so powerful. How can it pass? He's definitely stronger than an ordinary Saint Realm expert. He's no match for him alone. Many people's faces turned ugly. He had gone through so much to reach this point. But was he going to stop here? Everyone, the only way to pass through this path is to join forces. Let's join forces and charge through together. Otherwise, no one will be able to pass through alone. Huang Ling spoke. She joined forces with Lu Ming to defeat a shadow and stepped forward. That's right, we can only join forces now. The 10th Golden Crow Prince said. All right, I agree. I also agree. The others chimed in one after another. Just now, everyone was still on guard against each other. But now, they had no choice but to join forces again. Because if they didn't join forces, they could only stop here. Everyone broke through the illusionary figures and converged towards the path. After a while, everyone was gathered together. Let's charge. Buzz. Buzz. And MBSB whoosh. There were more than 40 people, and they rushed towards the intersection. All of them were heaven's spiritual bodies, and they came from different monarch-level forces. The true dragon roared, and the phoenix let out a long cry as they pounced toward the crowd. Kill! More than 40 heaven's favorites attacked together. All kinds of light exploded. When they combined together, it was extremely terrifying. All kinds of attacks collided with the true dragon and phoenix shadows. They were unstoppable and destroyed the true dragon and phoenix shadows in an instant, drowning them in their own. Bang! Bang! The true dragon and phoenix shadows collapsed. This is a good opportunity. Charge! All of the heaven's favorites took this opportunity to rush towards the entrance. In the blink of an eye, more than 40 of them had made it past the two tombs. The true dragon and phoenix shadows immediately gathered together again. However, they did not continue to attack them. Instead, they roared and flew into the tomb, disappearing. Just a wisp of immortal fighting intent has reached the Saint Realm. I wonder how terrifying he was when he was alive. Could it be that he had reached the emperor rank? Is there an emperor-level true dragon buried in this tomb? Lu Ming looked at the large tomb, a fiery light flashing in his eyes. If he could obtain the bone armor of an emperor-level true dragon and refine it, what level would his spirit body evolve to? Would he evolve into a superior grade heavenly spiritual body in one go? Of course, he was only thinking about it. The tomb was filled with terrifying power of laws. Zhao Kuang had just ended up like that. He naturally didn't dare to attack the tomb. Everyone let out a long breath and followed the path forward. Not long after, a river blocked his path. The strange thing was that the water of this river was yellow, like the legendary river of hell, the Yellow Spring. Is this really the Yellow Spring River? Suddenly someone spoke, his voice trembling. Because there was a stone tablet there. When everyone looked at it, they saw two words written on the stone tablet. Yellow Springs. Everyone looked at each other and saw shock and fear in each other's eyes. According to the ancient legends, there was a 9 serenities hell between heaven and earth. In the hell, there was a river that ran across the hell. It was called the Yellow Spring. The Yellow Spring was untraversable, because once one entered it, no matter what living being it was, they would be corroded by the water and become a part of the Yellow Spring. However, all of this was just a legend. No one had ever seen an emperor-ranked expert. Could it be that the Netherworld and the 9 serenities hell really existed? Even the Golden Crow 10th Prince and the Tao Tai, who were both unruly, had serious expressions on their faces. No one dared to rashly attempt to cross the Yellow Springs. If they crossed the river like the legendary Yellow Spring, it would be equivalent to suicide. There's a bridge over there. Someone pointed ahead and shouted. Everyone looked over and saw a bridge ahead. Everyone walked along the shore of the Yellow Spring. When they got closer, they found that the bridge was very wide and led directly to the other side of the Yellow Spring. There were 3 words carved on the bridge. The Bridge of Helplessness. Hiss hiss hiss. The sound of gasping could be heard, and everyone felt a chill in their hearts. According to the legends, there was a bridge of helplessness above the Yellow Spring. If one wanted to cross the Yellow Spring, they had to cross the Bridge of Helplessness. He didn't expect that there really was a Bridge of Helplessness. The Yellow Springs and the Bridge of Helplessness were just like the legends. Could it be that this place led to the 9 serenities hell? Even though they were all geniuses from emperor-rank powers and had seen many things, they still felt a chill down their spines. Legend has it that on the Bridge of Helplessness, there is a Mengpa holding a bowl of soup. Anyone who crosses the bridge has to drink it. After drinking it, they forget everything. Could there be a Mengpa on the Bridge of Helplessness? Someone said, his voice trembling. All of this is just an illusion. Someone deliberately set it up. If there really was a netherworld, why would it appear here? The 10th Golden Crow Prince snorted coldly. His entire body was covered in the golden divine fire of the great sun. He stepped onto the Bridge of Helplessness and headed towards the other side. That's right. This should be the burial ground of the reincarnation emperor. It can't be the true netherworld. How can it stop me? Then someone else spoke and stepped forward. Huang Ling, let's go too. Lu Ming said. Huang Ling nodded. The two of them walked side by side and stepped onto the Bridge of Helplessness. Seeing this, the others also followed. Although they didn't believe it, they were still cautious and on guard. Where did the souls of the ancient heroes go? All of a sudden, a leisurely voice rang out. It came from an unknown place and rang in everyone's ears. Who is it? Someone was shocked and shouted. Where did the souls of the ancient heroes go? The voice continued to ring out, seemingly filled with helplessness and sighs. As the group continued to move forward, that voice continued to ring out. But all this time, it was only this one sentence that repeated itself. Everyone held their breath and paid no attention to this voice. They continued forward and soon, they would cross the Bridge of Helplessness. But at this moment, everyone stopped. There was a figure at the end of the bridge. An old woman. The old woman was very old. Her back was hunched, and she wore a loose black robe. Her hair was white, and the wrinkles on her face were like mountains. She was holding a bowl in her hand. In the bowl, there was a milky white liquid. Mengpa. A name appeared in everyone's mind. Chapter 1640. 1640 Drinking Grandma Meng's soup and entering Samsara Gulu. At the thought of the name Mengpa, many people swallowed their saliva. Was there really a Mengpa on the Bridge of Helplessness? Some of them had already broken out in cold sweat. The netherworld, the Bridge of Helplessness, and Mengpa. Everything was in line with the legend. Senior, who are you? The 10th Golden Crow Prince was bathed in the great sun divine fire. His eyes were serious as he cupped his fist towards the old woman. The old woman revealed a faint smile and glanced at the 10th Golden Crow Prince. The Bridge of Helplessness on the Yellow Spring River. Am naturally Mengpa. Is she really Mengpa? Many people's hearts trembled. This was the tomb of the reincarnation king. Why would there be the netherworld Bridge of Helplessness and Mengpa? Did this place really lead to hell? Senior, is that reincarnation? Lu Ming suddenly asked. This was because there was no path in front of the Bridge of Helplessness, only a pitch-black vortex. That's right. That's Samsara. You can enter Samsara after you drink Grandma Meng's soup and forget about your past and present lives, said Mengpa as she lifted the bowl in her hand. Reincarnation. Reincarnation. The tomb of the reincarnation emperor is right in front of us. Someone asked. That's right. Mengpa smiled. Ha ha ha. It's indeed the tomb of the Samsara king. The netherworld is all fake. I'm going to meditate in the tomb of the Samsara king. The 10th Golden Crow Prince laughed and strode forward. But Mengpa stood in front of him. Young man, she said. If you want to enter Samsara, you must drink Mengpio's soup. Forget your past life and this life. Only then can you enter Samsara. Get lost. No one can make me forget my past and present life. The Golden Crow 10th Prince was extremely domineering. He struck out with his palm, and the terrifying godly sunfire rushed toward Mengpa. However, Mengpa waved her hand, and the Golden Crow 10th Prince's fire was extinguished. The Golden Crow 10th Prince's eyes narrowed, and he transformed into his three-legged Golden Crow form. His body was covered in terrifying flames like a sun. He flapped his wings and wanted to rush past Mengpa and enter the dark vortex. The young man is too impulsive, Mengpa murmured. She reached out a withered hand and grabbed at the 10th Golden Crow Prince. The dried-up claw quickly grew in size, becoming as large as a mountain as it struck towards the 10th Golden Crow Prince. The Golden Crow 10th prince seemed to have been frozen in place, unable to move at all as he was caught by the withered hand. Damn it, attack! Let's attack together and rush over. The 10th Golden Crow prince roared. Buzz! A figure rushed forward at extreme speed, wanting to take this opportunity to rush over. He was also a terrifying young man, no weaker than the 10th crown prince of the Golden Crow. However, a silk ribbon flew out of Meng Pio's sleeve and wrapped around the young man. The others were shocked. They had wanted to take the opportunity to attack, but they couldn't help but stop. The other party was too terrifying. Even someone as powerful as the Golden Crow 10th prince couldn't put up any resistance and was captured right away. The other person was the same. The two of them struggled with all their might, but it was of no use. Senior, spare me, spare me. The Golden Crow 10th prince was scared and began to beg for mercy. What are you afraid of? I won't kill you. Mengpa opened her mouth and grabbed the Golden Crow 10th prince in front of her. Then, she poured the bowl of Mengpa soup into the Golden Crow 10th prince's mouth. Don't! The 10th Golden Crow prince roared. If he would forget everything after drinking Grandma Meng's soup, would he still be himself? Wouldn't that be the same as death? How could he be willing to drink it? However, his struggles were of no use. His mouth opened on its own, and a bowl of Mengpa soup was poured into the Golden Crow 10th prince's mouth. Then, his eyes revealed a look of confusion. Go, enter the cycle of reincarnation. Mengpa waved her hand, and the Golden Crow 10th prince flew directly into the black vortex and disappeared. Then, everyone saw that the bowl of Meng Pio's soup in Meng Pio's hand, which was originally empty, was now automatically filled up. Mengpa did the same thing. She poured a bowl of Meng Pio's soup into another young man's mouth, and then threw him into the dark vortex. Now it's your turn. Come, drink Grandma Meng's soup and enter the cycle of reincarnation. Mengpa looked at Lu Ming and the rest. Many people broke out in cold sweat. Senior, I won't go to the tomb of the reincarnation king. I'm leaving. Someone said. If he lost all his memories after drinking Grandma Meng's soup, what was the point of receiving the inheritance of the reincarnation emperor? Since you're here, there's no reason to retreat. All of you will drink Meng Pio's soup and enter the cycle of reincarnation. Meng Pio's shriveled voice sounded. No, I'm not going, I quit. A few people shouted and retreated like lightning. I said, since you're here, you can't leave. Mengpa said indifferently. She reached out her hand and grabbed in the air. The people who were retreating seemed to be fixed in place. Their bodies were fixed in the air, and then they flew toward Mengpa under the effect of a powerful force. Just like before, Mengpa drank a bowl of Mengpa soup and threw it all into the black vortex. Lu Ming, what should we do? Huang Ling sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. Her pretty face was a little pale. This Mengpa is too strong. We can't resist her at all. Lu Ming shook his head. The Golden Crow 10th prince and the others were like babies in Meng Pio's hands. They could not fight back at all. Meng Pio's strength was definitely beyond their imagination. They had no chance at all. Even if Lu Ming went all out with Bubble's help, he would not have any chance of escaping. The difference was too great. Are we really going to drink Grandma Meng's soup and forget about our past and present lives? Said Huang Ling, revealing an unwilling expression. Huang Ling, do you believe that this is the true netherworld, Mengpa? Lu Ming did not answer but asked Huang Ling instead. Huang Ling was stunned and pondered. What the netherworld can do to Mengpa is just a legend. It's in the 9 Serenities hell. Legend has it that the 9 Serenities hell is in the Heaven Realm. Heaven Realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He did not think much about it and said, that's right. That's why I feel that this place is man-made. Perhaps it's just a test, and they might not really lose their memories. So, we can only take a gamble. Take a gamble? That's right. Since I can't escape, I'll take a gamble. I'll be leaving first. With that, Lu Ming stepped out and strode toward Mengpa. Many people were shocked. Lu Ming actually took the initiative to step forward. Little fellow, please. Mengpa picked up the soup in her hand. All right. Lu Ming was very direct. He picked up the bowl of Mengpa's soup and drank it in one gulp. Then he returned the bowl to Mengpa and leaped into the dark vortex. I'll do it. Then a burly young man walked out. It was Yi Dongfang. Obviously, Lu Ming was not the only bold person. Like Lu Ming, Yi Dongfang drank the Mungpa soup and jumped into the vortex. After that, Huang Ling stepped out and drank the soup before jumping into the whirlpool. The others' expressions changed, but they also understood that there was no way out today. They could only drink Grandma Meng's soup and then step forward one by one. Not long after, all the elites who had entered had jumped into the black vortex. After everyone had jumped into the black vortex, Meng Pio's body on the bridge of helplessness disappeared like an illusion, as if she had never been there. Chapter 1641. 1641 Experiencing 9 Lives. Reincarnation Emperor. After Lu Ming jumped into the vortex, he felt dizzy and more confused. Gradually, he fell into darkness and could not feel anything. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ming gradually regained his consciousness. He slowly opened his eyes. His eyes revealed the vicissitudes of life, as if he had experienced the vicissitudes of life. He actually experienced 9 lives and 9 reincarnations. Could it be that reincarnation really exists in the world? Lu Ming muttered to himself, his eyes filled with complicated emotions. At this moment, a series of images appeared in his mind. He remembered everything. He drank the Mengpa soup, jumped into the whirlpool, and fell into the darkness. After that, he experienced 9 lives. In his first life, he was born into a family of generals in the empire. From a young age, he led the army to war and conquered the world. When he was middle-aged, he became the defender general of the empire, who had a large number of troops in his hands. However, he was suspected by the emperor, and he killed Lu Ming on a false charge. Then he was reincarnated. In his second life, he became a scholar from a poor family. He was determined to be the top scorer. But he fell in love with the noble family's daughter when he was the top scorer. In the end, he was secretly killed by the noble family. And then it was the third life. In this life, he became an ordinary person, a villager of a small village. He married and had children. The men worked the fields while the women weaved. In the end, he had a house full of children and grandchildren. His hair was white, and he died of old age. The fourth life. The fifth life. In his 9th life, he became a good-for-nothing who couldn't awaken his bloodline. His bloodline was dug out by his childhood sweetheart. And then he accidentally obtained the Supreme Shrine and embarked on the martial path. Later on, when he awakened the third bloodline let out a loud roar. He woke up all of a sudden, as if his reincarnation had ended. The 9th life is my own experience, and it's exactly the same as my own experience. Is there really reincarnation in this world? Or have I awakened the memories of the previous 8 lives? Lu Ming muttered. He was shocked and confused. He could not tell what was real and what was fake. Then was his life also one of the reincarnations? Was everything he had experienced all along the way real or fake? Little guy, I didn't expect you to wake up after experiencing 9 lives. This is really beyond my expectations. At this moment, an old voice entered Lu Ming's ears. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He then looked around. He was in a huge secret chamber, and an old man in black was walking toward him. Senior, who are you? Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, in the past, everyone called me Samsara. The old man smiled. Reincarnation. You are the reincarnation emperor. Lu Ming could not help but exclaim. His mind slowly cleared up. Could it be that the reincarnation emperor was still alive? Well, you can say that. But now it's only a wisp of a soul, the old man said with a smile. Lu Ming took a closer look and realized that the other party was not a physical entity. It was more like a shadow or a wisp of soul. Senior Samsara, is there really such a thing as samsara in this world? Lu Ming asked. In his mind, fragments of those 9 lives flashed past from time to time. Does reincarnation really exist in this world? I don't know. The reincarnation emperor sighed. You don't know either? Lu Ming was puzzled. It was said that the reincarnation emperor controlled the law of reincarnation, which was one of the strongest laws in the world. It was on par with the law of chaos. Did he not know about reincarnation? Then, were the 9 lives he had experienced real or fake? How could it be so real? Little guy, Do you have any doubts about your previous experience? In fact, that was not really reincarnation. It was just a reflection in the depths of your heart. You can understand it as a kind of illusion, or rather, it could also be that it awakened the memories of your previous life, said the reincarnation emperor. So there's no reincarnation in this world. Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief, and his mind regained its calm. It's hard to say. Maybe when my cultivation reaches a high enough level, I can really reincarnate. Unfortunately, my cultivation level is not high enough. The reincarnation emperor sighed and looked at Lu Ming. Little guy, what's your name? You're the first one to wake up in your group. I thought that the strongest one among you would have to experience hundreds of lives before waking up. You're really strange. I'm Lu Ming. Senior, how long have I been here? Lu Ming asked. You've been here for 3 months, said the reincarnation emperor. 3 months. That's good. Lu Ming felt relieved. He had experienced 9 lives, and it felt like he had experienced a long time. He had comprehended the different lives of 9 lives. He was still afraid, but in reality, he had also experienced a long time. 3 months was still fine. Senior, did you build this tomb? There's also the helpless yellow springs from before. Lu Ming then asked a bunch of questions. He was really curious. Of course not. I was almost gone in that battle. Later on, a peerless master came here and built a tomb for me. He also saved a wisp of my soul. Everything outside was done by that master. Perhaps he didn't want me to waste my life's knowledge, so he left a tomb for me to pass on my legacy. The reincarnation emperor explained. As expected, Lu Ming muttered. He had heard of the legend before. It was said that after the 100 Clan War, an unparalleled expert came to the 100 Clan battlefield and cultivated 9 of the strongest great emperors into 9 graves. The 1,000 Kills martial emperor from the 1,000 Kills mansion had entered one of the great emperor's tombs and obtained the inheritance. It seemed that the netherworld helplessness from before was indeed fake. It was a trap set up by that peerless expert. Lu Ming, you cultivate the 9 dragons combat body, right? Speaking of which, you have some connections with that unparalleled expert. That expert is one of the top 10 war beasts, the 9 lives devilish silkworm, said the reincarnation emperor. 9 lives devilish silkworm. Lu Ming was shocked. According to Dandan, the top 10 war beasts had all been killed in a battle a long time ago. But now it seemed that things were not that simple. Through a special method, Dandan managed to keep her life. After that, Lu Ming saw the Titan Longhorn. He heard that the 9 lives devilish silkworm was still alive. Perhaps many of the top 10 war beasts still existed in this world. What a pity, what a pity. At this moment, the reincarnation emperor looked at Lu Ming carefully and sighed. Senior, what's a pity? Lu Ming was puzzled. You were the first to wake up after experiencing 9 lives. You could have received my inheritance, mastered the reincarnation domain, and then comprehended the reincarnation law. Unfortunately, you have already comprehended the chaos domain. Chaos and reincarnation are one of the 10 strongest laws in the world. Just like how a mountain cannot contain 2 tigers, they are difficult to control and fuse at the same time. The reincarnation emperor sighed and explained in detail. Cultivators, after cultivating to a certain realm, could control many laws at the same time. However, there were 10 ultimate maxims in the world that were difficult to control at the same time. Since ancient times, only rare geniuses and peerless talents could control one of them. It was impossible to control 2 or more. Chapter 1642. 1642 Breakthrough to Half-Saint. Chaotic Qi. After listening to the explanation of the reincarnation emperor, Lu Ming felt that it was a pity. At the same time, he was shocked. In the world, there were actually 9 laws that could be on par with chaos. In the past, Lu Ming did not know about this at all. It seemed that he still knew too little. Senior, perhaps in the future, there will be someone suitable for Senior's inheritance. Lu Ming said. Although it was a pity, he could only give up. He couldn't possibly give up the chaos domain and switch to reincarnation, right? That was impossible. There's no time left. This wisp of my soul can't exist for long. The Reincarnation Emperor sighed. Then, a crystal-like object appeared in his hand. Laws revolved around it, and it was extremely wonderful. Lu Ming looked at it, as if he was looking at a whole new world. Lu Ming, this is my world core. It contains all my inheritance. Take it. If you meet a suitable person in the future, help me pass it on. This is my last wish. The Reincarnation Emperor said with a sigh. The fact that a great emperor had fallen into such a state was truly lamentable. Senior, Lu Ming will definitely find the most suitable successor for you and pass it on. Lu Ming's gaze was firm. He then took the world core from the Reincarnation Emperor and put it away solemnly. Many thanks. The Reincarnation Emperor smiled and said, Little guy, since you are the first one to wake up, how can I let you return empty-handed? This reincarnation halberd is for you. The Reincarnation Emperor's palm glowed, and a halberd appeared. This reincarnation halberd used to be my combat weapon, but it has been severely damaged and has no power left. However, I have sealed 2 forces inside it. If these 2 forces were to be fully unleashed, they can kill any expert below the Emperor realm, said the Reincarnation Emperor. It can kill any expert below the Emperor rank. Lu Ming was shocked then ecstatic. Such a treasure was simply heaven-defying. At a critical moment, it was a treasure that could definitely turn the tables and save his life. That's right. Of course, there are only 2 forces. Once you use them, there's no more. Take them. The Reincarnation Emperor passed the Reincarnation Halberd to Lu Ming, who accepted it with joy. Okay, I'll send you out now, said the Reincarnation Emperor. Senior, can I stay here for a while? I want to cultivate here. Lu Ming said. Previously he had experienced 9 lifetimes. Those scenes were like 9 real lives. Lu Ming had learned a lot. He felt that he was about to make a breakthrough in the Chaos Realm. One more step, and he would be a half-saint. As long as he broke through to the half-saint realm, his strength would skyrocket. He would have more confidence when he went out. It's fine, you can continue to cultivate, said the Reincarnation Emperor. Lu Ming nodded, and then sat cross-legged. He took out the Path Understanding Ancient Tree, and started to comprehend it quietly. The Path Understanding Ancient Tree? It seems like this little fellow has more secrets than I thought. The Reincarnation Emperor was stunned for a moment, and then he smiled. The chaos domain on Lu Ming's body was shaking up and down. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. Boom! The chaos domain on Lu Ming's body suddenly trembled violently, and then expanded with an imposing aura. The ultimate domain. After going through 9 reincarnations, Lu Ming had an epiphany and finally made a breakthrough in the chaos domain to the extreme. The ultimate primal chaos domain was much more powerful than a level 9 primal chaos domain. As soon as the chaos realm was broken through, the essential core in Lu Ming's body also went berserk. It whistled and jumped, its speed increasing. His cultivation base was about to break through. Lu Ming waved his hand, and a large pile of mid-grade raw gemstones appeared on the ground. Lu Ming circulated the devouring power, and devoured the raw gemstones madly, beginning to refine them. 3 days later, Lu Ming had already refined an unknown number of raw gemstones. His aura suddenly increased explosively, forming a primordial chi pillar that shot straight to the top of the secret chamber. However, this secret chamber was very sturdy. Lu Ming's essential core chi column rushed to the top, and there was no reaction at all. At this moment, Lu Ming opened his eyes. He had finally broken through to the first stage of half-saint. After breaking through to the half-saint realm, his combat strength had increased dramatically. He was now confident that he could suppress the Tao Tai alone. Little guy, I almost forgot. I can see a trace of chaos chi in your body. Let me give you another opportunity. The Reincarnation Emperor appeared and walked over. A stream of chi appeared in his hand and started to circle around his arm. Chaos chi. This is the real chaos chi. Lu Ming's eyes widened in shock. He could immediately sense that the current on the arm of the Reincarnation Emperor was the real chaotic chi. Although he cultivated the chaos domain, he had never seen true chaos chi. That's right. This is a wisp of true chaotic chi. I obtained it before the Great War. I originally wanted to refine it into the Reincarnation Halberd. But after the Great War, I gave it up. Now I'll give it to you. refine it into your spirit body, and the power of your spirit body will be greatly improved. Lu Ming, close your eyes. I'll give you a hand. The reincarnation emperor shouted. Lu Ming quickly closed his eyes and became one with his mind. The reincarnation emperor waved his hand, and a wisp of chaotic qi flew out and entered Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body trembled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The qi of chaos was the qi of origin between heaven and earth. Even a wisp of it could collapse a mountain. It was extremely heavy. As soon as the chaos qi entered Lu Ming's body, he felt that his body was about to break apart. Hold on, there's a trace of chaos qi in your body. You should be able to refine it. The voice of the reincarnation emperor rang in Lu Ming's ears. Then, a ray of light was emitted from the reincarnation emperor's hand and enveloped Lu Ming. Instantly, Lu Ming felt the pressure on his body lighten. He then focused his mind and began to refine with all his might. Slowly, a wisp of true chaotic qi intertwined with the original wisp of chaotic qi in his body and seeped into Lu Ming's body. His body was slowly becoming stronger. At this moment, on the bridge of helplessness, there were many young men sitting cross-legged. They were Huang Ling, the Golden Crow 10th Prince, the Taotai, and the others. The more than 40 heaven's favorites who had jumped into the vortex were all here. At this moment, all of the heaven's favorites opened their eyes, and they were all confused. What's going on? I clearly remember drinking Grandma Meng's soup and jumping into the whirlpool. Why am I still here? Someone asked, full of doubt. I don't know either. I only know that I fell into darkness and lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was already here. In the same. The others all nodded. It seemed that they were different from Lu Ming. Lu Ming could remember everything that happened in his 9 reincarnations, but these people seemed to have forgotten. The Golden Crow 10th Prince's body was covered in flames. He stood up and looked around cautiously. When he didn't see Meng Pe, he let out a long breath. It seems like we have come out after entering the reincarnation. Who is it that has obtained the inheritance of the reincarnation emperor? The 10th Golden Crow Prince said coldly. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.